You're growing in grace. He's illuminating you to show you what's wrong. What I'm telling you right now, listen to what I'm about to say. Oh, he's just proud. No, I'm not. What I'm telling you is absolutely, undeniably right. I'm right. Anybody that comes against this is wrong. You can prove this from your own life. You didn't instantaneously change when you got saved. You've been going through transitions and metamorphoses all along the pathway. As God reveals more to you, you're able to repent and be changed. It's practical because you're experiencing this. It's not something I'm making up because you're living it out. That's what gives you the ability to show grace and mercy to another person. Not the hypocrite trying to justify sin, but the person that really has the desire to change moving toward God. Because you got a bunch of boneheads that are just trying to use excuses to say, well, I'm growing in the Lord, and you got to remember from where you came now. I'm not there yet. Hold it, stop lying to yourself. So you're a guy that's just trying to justify your filthy sin. When exposed to truth, a righteous person acknowledges the truth, repents of the evil, and changes. All repentance is turning around. That's all it is. So don't let folks who abide in sin try to justify their sin talking about grace. See, that's the hypocrite trying to run a game on the church and run a game on God, and God is going to excommunicate you. Look for the right foot of this fellowship here shortly, because God is not mocked. Whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he reap. You're not kidding God, you kid yourself and end up destroyed trying to kid yourself.
My brethren, be strong in the Most High, and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of Yah, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore, take unto you the whole armor of the Most High, that ye may be able to stand and withstand in the evil day. And having done all to stand, stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, take the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked, and take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of the Most High Yah.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Shalom, family of the Most High Yah, and welcome to another Sword of the Spirit audio biblical teaching broadcast. We are your hosts, the servants of Yah, and we praise the Most High for open eyes that can see, ears that can hear, and the privilege to come before his beautiful people on this set-apart day of our Master. So from our humble hearts to you and yours, we only seek to highly esteem the Most High Yah. We welcome you on this Shabbat. I'm going to bring in my co-host, Shabbat Shalom. Prina, how you doing, sis?
Shabbat Shalom. Doing well.
So we're going to get right into it. Normally we kind of, talk a little bit before we get into today's show. But we're going to get right into it because we have a lot to discuss today, and I want to make sure that I stay within the parameters of the time. Today's 37th show is entitled, Let the Marriage Bed Be Undefiled. And that's with a question mark. We hear, believers all the time quote, well, the marriage bed is defiled. But what does it truly mean to be defiled? How can a believer or those who are married defile the marriage bed? Can it be defiled is one of the questions. We're going to address Hebrews 13:4. This is a very controversial subject, Prina, and it needs to be addressed. And yes, today, so we're going to start off. We're going to start right off with a disclaimer. This show today, we're not trying to convince anyone. This show that we're doing today, this show is for those who have eyes that can see, ears that can hear, and a heart that can understand, a heart that is after the Most High. Just as the gentleman said at the beginning of the audio clip that you guys heard, when you are walking with the Most High, as you grow in this, because none of us have it all. We're like babes coming back. Mm-hmm. But when you come back and we're scrambling for the truth, as the Most High gives you revelation of his truth, it is then your job to begin to walk in it, to repent of those things that he's revealing that are contrary to his ways. Because our ways and our thoughts are not his ways and thoughts. And many of the things before I came into the truth that I thought that I was doing that was of him, he showed me this is not of me. If you want to truly know who I am, you have to live and walk according to my spirit. Those who have his set apart spirit, he gives his spirit to those who obey. So today's show is for those who have eyes that can see, ears that can hear, and a heart that can understand. In order for you to really get this, because this, and I feel like I'm walking on eggshells, but once I begin teaching, I will not. I'm trying to ease you into it, because many of you who are walking in truth may not be aware of the information that we're going to present today. And it is up to you, after this information is presented to you, it is up to you to study, to show yourself approved, okay? Because you don't take the word of any man, okay? You put no trust in any man, but you go and study behind me. You seek the Most High's face. You pray. You fast. And as he gives you the revelation, but we talked about this, Prina, a couple of weeks ago, as far as why, Yeshua spoke in parables. Those who, no matter how much truth you give them, and they're still, I just don't get it. I just don't get it. We talked about that. If you didn't catch that show, I think that was our 35th show, you need to go back why Yeshua spoke in parables, because those that didn't get it didn't have to understand. He said, you don't understand because you are not my sheep. He said, my sheep know my voice, and a stranger they won't follow. So for those of you who are listening today that are his sheep, that have a heart after him, but may not be aware of this, it is up to you to repent and to turn to him, because guess what? It's nothing is worth your salvation. Yeah. And we are in the latter days. So this show, we're going to go ahead and get started with the State of the Body panel discussion before we get into today's lesson. It's entitled Cry Aloud, Fear Not. And we're just going to have an open discussion quickly about the open rebellion and the all-out war on the people of the Most High, as well as his word. And I wanted to just kind of briefly, there was a couple of articles that I ran across, Prina. One was the Arizona. For many of you who may not have heard. Okay, yeah, the state of Arizona, it says a Bible to be banned in Arizona under state law forbidding ethnic studies. And I want to read a couple excerpts from this article, and basically this is what they call it, the Arizona Book Banning and Burning Board, which is a division of the Arizona Department of Education. They outlawed it and said, basically, let me read a couple of this. It says the ABBB, which stands for the Arizona Book Banning and Burning Board. They actually have a board that burns books, but let me keep going. They basically are saying that the Bible is biased and they're in favor of the Jews, teaching superiority of the Jewish race. So basically they're superior to everyone else. So they're saying this violates their rules. It says the Jews are God's chosen people. Okay. It also says this Bible is designed primarily for the readers of a particular ethnic group. It also says it advocates ethnic solidarity instead of treating people as individuals. It promotes resentment towards a race or class of people, in fact, dozens of them. And these are some of the nations of people that this ABBDB states, or the Bible, and the reason why they're banning it is because it shows resentment towards the Egyptians who enslaved the Jews, the Babylonians, the Scarlet Women, the inhabitants of Sodom and Gomorrah, the Persians, the worshippers of Baal, the Philistines, Assyrians, the Samaritans, the Hittites, and 143 other tribes. And when I get finished reading these last two, I kind of want to make a quick point and some things that I noticed. You got to be able to read in between the lines when you're when you're reading these excerpts. Okay, let me read the last two. It said it urges the Jews to throw off their chains. It urges them to throw off their chains and free themselves from the captivity in contentious and abusive language similar to that of Black and Latino empowerment figures like Frederick Douglass, Toni Morrison, and Dorothy Ford. It further notes, I know. It further noted that the hero of the New Testament, Jesus Christ, and we know this is Caesar Borgia, their version. We don't call him that. His name is Yeshua or Yeshua. But it says, it further noted that the hero of the New Testament, Jesus Christ, talks about overthrowing the law, saying, I came with a sword, and used anti-family rhetoric by urging his followers to leave their parents and follow him. Now, immediately, when I read this article, the first thing that came to my mind was Psalms 83, 3 and 4, which says, they have said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel be no more in remembrance. And verse 4 says that they have conspired together to cut a covenant, which is basically an agreement. But their covenant or agreement was a wicked agreement. But they conspired together to cut a covenant against you. Now, I don't know what you got from this, but I'm going to just tell you quickly what I got from this. They were okay. Because how long has the Bible been in existence, and now all of a sudden, 2016, now they want to ban the Bible? Because, I mean, the last time I looked, the words are still the same stories, but what it is who are the true chosen people is the question. Who is it that they know are those Ezekiel 37 dry bones that are waking up? Because even the other nations are starting to tell the truth. They know that there is nothing that they can do because this is prophecy, okay? Their whole thing was we were okay with all of the stories that were in the scriptures as long as it was these people over in Palestine and it's pretending to be the chosen people, okay? But now that the real what you say were the real Jews, and it's no such thing as Jews. We're from Yehuda, from the tribe of Judah. Okay?
Right.
Will the real chosen people stand up? So now that we have awakened, and we are awakening in droves of who we are, and we're not falling for the tail, the banana and the tailpipe anymore. Now they want to ban it. Now it's a problem that the Most High has a chosen people when He's always had a chosen people. But it was okay as long as it was the world recognized it as being another race, those Khazarians who are pretending to be us. Because it says it advocates ethnic solidarity. See, we're starting to reunite, okay?
Yeah.
Trying to come back together, those two houses, okay? Those Ezekiel 37 dry bones, the two houses, the house of Judah and Ephraim, which make up the 12 tribes, are starting to come back. And then we know the scriptures speak about when it says that they show resentment towards a certain race or class of people. Well, we know the people that they're mentioning are the ones that are enslaved us, okay? And the Egyptians, who were enslaved by the Egyptians and who made the covenant with the Most High in Exodus 19:3-8 and broke that covenant and therefore went into captivity and are now suffering the curses of Deuteronomy 28, which was going to be assigned to identify the true chosen people of the Most High. Who are those people that the nations are starting to wake up and realize, hey, this don't look like it's the people over there in Palestine because they're not suffering these curses. You know? And then I want to make note, it says it encourages them to throw off their chains and free themselves from the captivity. Okay. And then the main thing that stood out to me was the abuse of language. It's similar to the abuse of language of the Black and Latino empowerment figures. Who do you think they're talking about?
Yeah.
See, they all, when we wake up, the first thing they want to say, oh, those Black Hebrew Israelites. We're not Black Hebrew Israelites. We are Hebrew Israelites. That is our nationality. Blood descendant. We're not trying to be somebody that we're not. They were okay with it. Then they say the hero of the New Testament. I'm just going to say,
when they put Dora Explorer in there, I'm like, where does she fit in there? The fictional character.
But you know, he comes, and their whole thing here was saying that he comes to talk about overthrowing the law. That comes from their misinterpretation of the Apostle Paul, because he said in Matthew 5:17-19. I'll let you quote it because that's your favorite scripture.
Think not that I come to destroy the prophets or the law, but to fulfill it. He came to fulfill it. He did not do away. To heaven and earth pass away. We see heaven and earth today, and it is not going away. You know, and Shaitan, just to piggyback on what stood out for me the most was freeing your chains. Yeah. You know, in Israel, we are in bondage, and we are going to remain in bondage even when our curses is over with if we do not return back to the covenant. These curses that has been put upon us is because of our rebellion and no other rebellion. And so they know that once we really fully return to the Most High God, they know that we free. You know what I'm saying? They know that we will be blessed and all these things will come about. And they and from listening to it, they scared.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. Because see, the change is not the physical change anymore; it's the mental change. We're still mentally enslaved.
Yes.
And then see, those are the change that need to come off so that we can return back to the covenant. That's what's happening now. That's what's happening, and they're afraid of that. And so, like I said, this has been the same book that has been here for 2,000 years, but all of a sudden now it's a problem.
It's racial.
Now, it's racially motivated. Why? Because we the people now. It's okay with everybody else being who they are, but as soon as we want to become something or have something that's of value and make us feel like we're on top, oh no, oh, you racist. This has nothing to do with race. This is about us as a nation of people returning back and taking our rightful place. That's all this is about, you know. And so the second article we want to quickly talk about, I saw was the church hires J.K. Rowling to rewrite the Bible.
Yes.
Now, for those of you who do not know who J.K. Rowling is, she is a famous author, Harry Potter author. She's the one that wrote all the Harry Potter series. And basically the church, of course, you know the Catholic Church, but they say it is hope that the author, most famous for her Harry Potter series, can make it more accessible and believable for a new generation of Catholic and Christians. So they want her to basically make the Bible more relevant for the simple, wicked nation that we live in right now. Basically, that's what they're saying.
Represent the witchcraft that you represent.
Because I mean, she's the father of witchcraft.
Right. Because if you have more rebellion children, they're gonna rebel against the Most High, and they're gonna follow and usher in whatever they say do. They're gonna follow them. You know, the Catholic Church, they're gonna follow the government and the powers that be. They're gonna rebel against the Most High Yah. You know, if you got a bunch of rebellion kids, they are defiant. You know what I'm saying? We see it all day in our school system, Shatana, with these rebellious children, and that's what they want. They want children to rebel against the Most High Yah, and this is just, you know, sickening. I hope that none, you know, even that are not in truth, will buy their kids this quote-unquote un-Bible, because it's not a Bible. It's not authoritative.
And this is not for kids. This is a regular Bible. It was a picture she was holding the Bible up. It was brown, and it says, "The Holy Bible by Rowling." It's not a kid's Bible. It's a regular Bible. It's a regular Bible. They said that we are very happy Ms. Rowling has agreed to rewrite. We keenly await for the first draft, a Vatican insider told WWN. And it says the sales of the Jesus Christ action figures have dropped over by 200% in the last 10 years. We are in need of a new, compelling, and toy-friendly character. They say their revenues are shrinking. So they need the more Hollywood. They said the more Hollywood, the better. This is what came to my mind when I was reading this. It says, understand this, and this is coming from 2 Timothy 3. It says, but understand this, that in the last days there will be dangerous times, for people will be lovers of self, lovers of money, boastful, arrogant, revelers, disobedient to parents, ungrateful, unset apart, and profane, unloving, irreconcilable, malicious gossips, devoid of self-control, brutal, haters of good, traitors, reckless, conceited, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of Yah. They will hold to the outward form of our religion, but reject its real power. It says, keep away from such people. And this was the same revelation that the Most High gave to me in regards to a false teacher that I came across. And the Most High gave me, he said, get away from these people, for I have revealed the road of life to you. So he's basically warning us that in these last days, there will be times of great distress, trouble. There will be difficult times that we're going to have to bear. And we see all of these things that were just mentioned in 2 Timothy 3. We see these things happening. This is exactly what we see. They want to rewrite the Bible, make it more relevant and more kid-friendly. They need another figure. Basically one that is going to tell them, oh, God knows your heart. Can't nobody keep all them laws. That's what they want to hear. They don't want to hear, if you love me, keep my commandments. They don't want to hear that. Do you have any thoughts? Do you want to add? No, we're in an open, an all-out war. Everyone who's listening, this is war. What we're starting to see now, over the past year, we have had more lawlessness made law by this wicked country.
Yeah.
Than ever witnessed ever since I've been on this earth. We're seeing an all-out open rebellion right now. People they lovers of pleasure more than loving the things of the Most High. They hate good. They're traitors. Malicious gossip. You always got somebody talking about what happened. Did you hear what happened to such and such? They love to hear about people and their downfall. This is what's going on right now. They're attacking the word of the Most High. They can rewrite it as much as they want, but He is the same as yesterday, today, and forevermore. He says, I change not. So no matter what they write, they can't write what is already written in heaven.
And just make a statement that Ephesians 6 tell us that we don't wrestle against flesh and blood, but against spiritual, against principalities and wickedness in high places. And so when those things are presented before you, you have to, one, put on the whole armor of Yah so that you can stand against the wiles of the devil, so that you can, be able to fight off what is going to happen, because prophecy is being fulfilled and we can't change it. But if you have on the whole armor of Yah and you standing on His word and keeping His commandments, then you will be guarded. It's just sad that
you got to endure to the end. You got to endure to the end.
Endure until the end to be saved. And we got to start training up our children and teaching them how to put on the whole armor of Yah. And we have to really censor what we put before them. We have to really censor, and a lot of times we think things are innocent and we think it's okay. We have to censor a lot of things and teach our children so that they will not continue in the cycle and the curses that we are felt under for being disobedient to the Most High Yah, and unfortunately,
that was His command.
Yes, it was a command, and we can't run from it. We can't hide from it, and we just need to repent, turn away, and start seeking the Most High Yah, because Shaitan, I know it's going to get worse than this. A lot of people see things and they think, oh, that's not going to happen, or it's subtle. We got years to come before the end of the world. No, we living in the last days, and we seeing a lot of prophecy coming to pass. And I just hope that the brothers and sisters that's listening today, that they will examine their heart after this show, and they will repent of their sins and start getting in the Word and walking Yah's commandments, statutes, and judgments, and teaching their children. That's my prayer.
Okay. Well, I'm definitely in agreement with you. Well, we're going to go ahead and get right into today's show. If you missed last week's 36th show, it was entitled Christians Follow Paul, Not the Word, or the Messiah. And that, to me, in my opinion, was like one of our best shows, because we really broke down the epistles or the letters of Paul, for those scriptures that Christians often try to use to say that Paul's his letters, he did away with the law. They're always quoting Paul. Paul said, if you don't keep the Torah, you have no business even dealing with Paul's letters or his writings, because you can't understand them. And that's why Timothy said his writings are hard to understand, and they'll unlearn, twist them to their own destruction. And it's a reason why it's to your own destruction. So if you missed our 36th show, it was a very intense show, but a very thorough show. You will definitely learn a lot and learn how to defend the faith, especially the Torah. I would strongly suggest, if you missed the 36th show, to go back and listen to it. It's called Christians Follow Paul, Not the Word. And so we're going to get right into today's show. Again, today's 37th show is entitled Let the Marriage Bed Be Undefiled. As I stated before, we often hear many believers quote, well, the marriage bed is undefiled But do we really know what defiling the marriage bed means? And can the marriage bed of a married couple be defiled? Is every act, anal and oral, permitted as long as it's within the parameters of a marriage covenant? And today we're going to find out if the word of the Most High is silent about what can and cannot be done in the bedroom. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And I said this at the beginning of last week's show, and I'm going to say it again. As a believer, there is nothing more important in this world than to make your salvation sure. If you care anything about where your soul goes when you leave this earth, you will take heed to today's message, because many of our brethren, including myself in the past, a while ago, because the Most High spoke to me about this many years ago and I repented of it. But at that time, I didn't have the understanding that I have now because I was new in the faith. But if you care anything about where your soul goes, you will take heed to this. Those who have eyes that can hear, ears that can understand, and a heart that can understand, a heart that is after Yah, you will definitely understand and you will get this, because the sheep know his voice, and a stranger they will not follow. Proverbs 3:5 says to trust in the Most High with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. Proverbs 3:5-6. So let's go to Hebrews 13:4. We're going to start with this controversial scripture that has caused so much trouble, so much division and contention within the faith itself. And so we're just going to go to it. And today we're going to be breaking down some terms to bring understanding. If those of you who are new, I'm one that I'm in education by profession, but I'm always breaking down the terms because having a vocabulary understanding always brings greater fluency and comprehension to what it is you're trying to understand. So Hebrews 13:4 reads, marriage is honorable in all, and the bed undefiled. But Yah will judge the fornicators and adulterers. I'm going to read it again. Marriage is honorable in all, and the bed undefiled, but Yah will judge the fornicators and adulterers. So from reading Hebrews 13:4, two points are made in this scriptural verse. The first is marriage and sexual intercourse within a marriage covenant is honorable to Yah. The second point that is made here is that all fornicators and adulterers will be judged. So they will be dealt with. So before we bring understanding to this ever so controversial scripture in Hebrews 13:4, we first need to define what a marriage is. What is a marriage? So let's quickly go to Genesis chapter 2, verse 18, and then verses 21-24. Genesis chapter 2, verse 18, verses 21-24. And Yah Almighty said, it is not good that man be alone. I will make him a helper suited to him. And Yah Almighty caused a deep sleep to fall on man, and he slept. And he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh underneath. And Yah Almighty formed the rib which he had taken from the man into a woman and brought her to the man. And the man said, this now at last is bone from my bone and flesh from my flesh. For this shall be called woman, because out of man this has been taken. Verse 24. Therefore a man shall leave his father and mother and shall cleave to his wife, and they shall become one. In the Hebrew, echad, or unified flesh. So they shall become one flesh. So we see here in Genesis 2, verse 24, it tells you that a marriage is between a man and a woman. The man leaves his father and mother, and he is joined to his wife, and the two become one flesh. So before I get started, I want to make a quick disclaimer. We're not going to, and I'm not getting ready to even address this further than what I'm getting ready to say right now. We're not going to confuse true marriage with the abomination that took place this past, I think it was June of 2015. Karina, I can't remember. I know it was 2015 or something. I think it was in June.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it was.
Yeah. Yeah. We're not going to confuse true marriage with the abomination that just took place with the legalization of same-sex marriage. We're not going to. Don't confuse marriage with homosexual or lesbian relationships. It doesn't matter if they made it legal in 2015. That does not change the laws of the Most High concerning what He has spoken about homosexuality. What they did this past summer does not change the sanctity of marriage as defined by the Most High in Genesis 2:24. Lesbians, homosexual partnerships, that's what they are. It's not a marriage. It's not a true marriage. And in the eyes of the Most High, He says it is an abomination, per Leviticus 18:22. So I'm going to leave it there. So we know what a true marriage is, according to the Most High, is a man and a woman. Now, again, I'm going to break down and we're going to explain Hebrews 13:4, and I'm going to read it again. Marriage is honorable in all, and the bed undefiled, but Yah will judge the fornicators and adulterers. So Strong Hebrews 4904, we're going to break down the word bed. Because if the bed is undefiled, then we need to know what that is. Strong Hebrews 4904, bed is given a word. It says carnal intercourse. Couch, to lieth, or lying with. So it is carnal intercourse. What does carnal mean? Carnal means fleshly, physical, and genital. Carnal intercourse is physical or genital sex. Strong Hebrews 2610 going to break down defile, because it says that marriage is honorable and the bed undefiled. So what does it mean to defile? To defile means to corrupt greatly. There's the word greatly down here. Strong Hebrews 2610. It's to corrupt greatly, to pollute, and to profane. So let's reread Hebrews 13:4 again. And we're going to put these Strong Hebrews terms within the context of that scripture to give us more understanding. Hebrews 13:4, and I'm rereading it with these terms in there. Marriage is honorable in all, and physical or genital sexual intercourse is not, because the prefix on means not. Okay, we already know what it means to be defiled. So marriage is honorable in all, and physical, genital, or sexual intercourse is not corrupted, polluted, or profane, but Yah will judge the fornicators and adulterers. Now, what does it mean to be undefiled? Here were some of the terms from thesaurus.com that came up for undefiled: innocent, pure, clean, spotless, unblemished, uncontaminated, virtuous, decent. Okay? And another one that came up was correct. In Strong Hebrews 5228, for the same word, it says integrity, plain, right, uprightness. Uprightness. To be upright, to be right, to be correct. It also had controlled. What does it mean to be controlled? Because if you're undefiled, it says it also means to be controlled. To be controlled, it says discipline, restrain. And I want to just focus on restrain for a second. It says discipline, restrain, and self-controlled. What does it mean to restrain? To restrain means to hold back, to limit, to curtail, to suppress, to hinder, to prevent, to subdue, to bind. When you bind something, especially when you're praying, to bind means to disallow. You're disallowing something. I'm hoping that some of you are getting greater understanding from this just based off what I'm saying. When you're undefiled, you're innocent, you're pure, you're clean, you're spotless, as in the Mashiach coming back for a spotless, unblemished bride. You're uncontaminated, you're virtuous, you're decent. It says you're correct. Strong Hebrews 5:2-8 for correct means you're right. Uprightness, pure, and control, meaning you're disciplined, you restrain. Self-control, when you restrain, that means you're holding back, you limit, you prevent, and you subdue. So Hebrews 13:4 is not saying that any and every sexual practice is allowed between married couples. Between married couples. But that sexual intercourse between those in a marriage covenant is decent, it's upright, it's right, it's correct, and it's acceptable unto the Most High. Yah honors the marriage covenant and the sanctity of marriage when a husband and a wife come together or lie with one another, as we were just given in the Strong Hebrews definition. When you lie with one another, the bed. Okay, sexual intercourse. It is upright, correct, and pleasing and acceptable in his eyes. In fact, in 1 Corinthians 7:1-5, the Apostle Paul, or Shaul, as some of you may call him, strongly suggests and that you come together and that you don't keep yourselves from one another unless you're fasting and praying. But he's suggesting, now verse 6, he says it's not part of the Torah, but he's just strongly suggesting that sex should be refrained from only by mutual agreement. So you and your husband sit down and you mutually agree, we're not going to come together or have sexual intercourse, but it's for the purpose of fasting and prayer. But he says after that time, the couple should come together sexually so that they're not tempted by Satan to fulfill their needs elsewhere. So, again, Hebrews 13:4 does not mean that a husband and wife can do any and everything that they please in the bedroom just because they're married. Now, if you do any and everything, as you're going to see as further as I go into this lesson, that's going to be called perverted sex. There are things that you can do to defile the marriage covenant. So how can a husband and a wife defile, which means to pervert, to corrupt, or pollute the bed? The bed, again, is sexual or physical intercourse. Okay? Now, we're going to reread this again. Marriage is honorable in all. And physical or genital or sexual intercourse is not corrupted, polluted, or profane, but Yah will judge the fornicators and the adulterers. I'm reading this again so that you guys can remember exactly what I'm saying. To be undefiled, again, means to be pure, innocent, clean, uncontaminated, decent, correct, upright, controlled, disciplined. The Torah has plenty to say regarding how a person can not only pollute themselves through sex, but defile the marriage bed. So we're going to go right to some of the things that can pollute your marriage bed, because the Most High is not saying that you can have sex any kind of way you want, any and every perverted act that you and your husband can come up with is allowed in the bedroom. That's what the world will tell you, but we're going to learn today that is not true according to the Most High. When he's saying that the bed is undefiled, it's only undefiled as long as you are not doing things that are perverted, that polluted, that profane it. You have to have what we just got finished reading, self-control, where you're able to restrain yourself from doing those things that may not be upright and pure and decent in the eyes of the Most High. So the first thing that can defile the marriage bed, and some of these things are going to apply to married couples as well as those who are not married, fornication. So Merriam-Webster Dictionary says that fornication is consensual sexual intercourse between two persons not married to each other. So basically, sex outside of marriage. It also says compared to adultery. And what I found in doing my research, that fornication and adultery were used interchangeably. FreeDictionary.com says sexual intercourse between people who are not married to each other. In the Strong Hebrew 8457, it says that fornication is harlotry, idolatry, and whoredom. Something else that came up from the complete word study of the Old Testament, it suggested three possible meanings. The first being fornication, which is premarital or illicit sex. The second being adultery. And the third being idolatry, and that's more so pertaining to the worship of a person or a thing besides the Most High, or anything besides the Most High. In the Blue Letter Bible, illicit sexual intercourse was given for fornication, and also 4202, which came up with porneia. Also harlotry, and again, it had adultery and incest. And fornication. So fornication and adultery, they were kind of used interchangeably, but the main thing was said that it's idolatry and whoredom. So I'm going to read a couple of scriptures. 1 Corinthians 6:18 says, flee fornication. Every sin which a man may do is outside the body, but he doing fornication sins against his own body. 1 Corinthians 7:8-9 reads, but I say to an unmarried man and to the widows, it is good for them if they also remain as I, but if they do not have self-control. So let's go back to, he said, if you don't have self-control, let them marry, but it is better to marry than to burn with passion. We just got finished giving the definition earlier in Strong Hebrews 5228, which means that when you have self-control, you are restrained, you're disciplined. When you restrain, that means you hold back. You suppress, you hinder, you prevent, and you subdue. To subdue means to disallow. So every time you get lustful passions to do things that are perverted, you got to be able to restrain yourself. You have to have self-control to be able to walk this walk. You have to restrain yourself and to hold back and to subdue the wanting or the lust to still do things that you used to do in the past. Some people used to be in the club all the time. Some people used to fornicate all the time. Some people lied all the time. Some people love shrimp, crabs, and lobster. You got to hold back. You know, some people love celebrating the holidays. Satan have all these holidays, Christmas, Easter, especially Christmas. He has it dressed up nice. You got the tree and it's decked with silver and gold. You got Nat King Cole singing chestnut, roasting on the open fire. The songs are good. You got the Christmas spirit. But, he got it. You can look good. It looks good. It feels good. All the emotions are there. But for those who have come out, especially those who may be new and may still be weak, you may got grandma, mama, brother, sister still trying to drag you back. They still trying to invite you to the Christmas party when you told them that you're not celebrating Christmas no more, but they still want to keep inviting you. You already told them, Ma, I don't eat pork no more, but Mama, I just made this smothered pork chops and rice. Remember, this used to be your favorite meal. Well, it's not my favorite meal anymore, Ma. He said if you put anyone before him, mother, father, sister, brother, you're not worthy of being in the kingdom. You got to restrain yourself. So, Paul is saying in 1 Corinthians 7:8-9 that he said it's better if you are able to be as him unmarried. He's not saying you can't get married or forbidding marriage. He's saying because those who are not married have more time to devote to the things of the Most High. He said, but if you can't, then he says it's better for you to marry than to burn. He says in verse 9, if you don't have self-control, if you feel like you can't restrain yourself, then you need to get married. Second thing, besides fornication, I'm going to be going back into fornication a little bit later, is adultery. Sex with another person's spouse is what, the main definitions when you get it from the dictionaries is sex, outside of a marriage covenant. But according to the scriptures, adultery is sex with a married woman. Strong Hebrews 5003, it says a woman that breaketh wedlock. Strong Hebrews 2181 says to commit adultery, less often of simple fornication. So it's saying it's not just some simple fornication, and it's rarely of involuntary ravishment. Okay, it says to commit idolatry. So when you're committing adultery, it says to commit idolatry. It says continually to play the harlot. And we know, and then also says whoredom or whorish, to go a whoring. We know that Israel went a whoring and played the harlot many times and committed adultery and idolatry against the Most High. So I'm going to read a couple of scriptures. Leviticus 20:10, it says, and a man who commits adultery with a man's wife, who commits adultery with the wife of his neighbor, the adulterer and the adulteress dying shall die. Leviticus 18:20, and you shall not give your semen to your neighbor's wife by lying with her to be unclean with her. So we see that term there, lying with her. Remember when I gave you the definition for the bed, it says to lie with is actually and it also gave the definition of carnal intercourse, fleshly intercourse. So it's not talking about laying on the couch and watching a movie. It's actually sexual intercourse, to lie with, or also to know the person. Another way that a husband and a wife can defile the marriage bed is having sex during a time of a woman's menstruation, when she's menstruating. Leviticus 18:19 says, and you shall not draw near to uncover the nakedness of a woman in her menstrual impurity. So at that time, the woman is, the body is cleaning itself from waste, and you're not supposed to be going up in her and having sexual intercourse, because at that time, that woman is impure, okay? She's not clean at that time. So, and this is the law, Leviticus 18:19. So if you're a husband and a wife and you're having sexual intercourse with your wife while she's on her period or while she's menstruating, that is sin. You are defiling the bed. So we've gone over, we had fornication, adultery, sex during a woman's menstrual period. Another one, bestiality. Bestiality is intercourse with animals. Leviticus 18:23-24 reads, and you shall not give your semen with any animal for uncleanness with it. A woman shall not stand before an animal to lie down with it. Again, this is not laying down with Rover and rubbing Rover's back while he wags his tail. Lying down, we just got finished giving the definition for lying for bed. Okay, and that's why I wanted to break that definition down. Bed means sexual intercourse, carnal, physical intercourse. It says a woman shall not stand before an animal to lie down with it. It is a shameful mixing. Do not defile yourself with all these, for with all these the nations have been defiled, which I am casting out before you. Leviticus 20:15-16 reads, and a man who lies with an animal dying shall die, and you shall kill the animal. And if a woman draws near to an animal to lie with it, you shall even put to death the woman and the animal. Surely they shall die. their blood should be on them. And that's in Exodus 20. And also there's another one in Exodus 22:19. But this is the reason why some of you might be like, well, why is she bringing this up? Because there are people who decide it's okay to bring the cat in the bedroom. There are people who sleep with horses, who bestiality is on the rise again. Prina, didn't they just make it lawful now for in the army now that they're able, because they're away from their spouse or away from women, they can go ahead and have sex with an animal now? You know, everything is being lawful. That the Most High says is an abomination now. Mm-hmm. So if you bring a cat or rover in your bed or the horse, hairy horse, you're defiling your marriage bed. You're defiling the marriage bed. The fifth one, homosexuality. Sex between those of the same gender. That's basically what it is. Sex between those of the same gender, and it is forbidden, and it is an abomination by the Most High. Let me read 3 scriptures. Leviticus 18:22, you shall not lie with a male as with a woman, it is an abomination. Leviticus 20:13, if a man has sexual relations with a man as one does with a woman, both of them have done what is detestable. They are to be put to death. Their blood will be on their own heads. Romans 1, verses 24 through 31. Because of this, Yah gave them up to filthy lusts of their hearts, and their bodies to be dishonored among themselves, who changed the truth of Yah into the lie, and worship and serve the created thing more than the Creator, which is blessed forever. Because of this, Yah gave them up to dishonorable passions. Okay. Now we already know that marriage is honorable. Okay. But what kind of marriage is honorable? We already went over what a marriage is in Genesis chapter 2 between a man and a woman, not a man and a woman and a woman. People try to read Romans 1 and say, that's not talking about homosexuality. What is he talking about then? What else is he talking about? As I read on, you will find that he is talking about those of the same sex. Okay? So it says, Yah gave them up to dishonorable passions. This is not honorable. It's not honorable. It is profane. It is corrupted. It's polluted. It's defiled. It's not undefiled. I don't care if two men get married or not. That is not honorable to the Most High. He is not going to say 2 men that get married, the marriage bed is undefiled. No, 2 men get married, the marriage bed is defiled, it's corrupted, and it's polluted. Y'all say it is detestable. But he said he gave them up to dishonorable passions, for even their females changed the natural use of their sex to that contrary to nature. He said they went against what was natural, what was contrary to what was to nature itself. Verse 27. And so also their males forsook the use of females, which is natural. So y'all said the men didn't want nothing to do with the females. He says, which is natural. He said, and their lust burned. They burned with lust towards one another, male with male. He said the males' lust burned towards one another, male with male. Now, you going to tell me that's not talking about homosexuality? He said they did what is shameful and received in themselves the just recompense of their error. Did not determine within themselves to know Yah. Yah has given them over to a vain mind, a reprobate mind, that they might do what they ought not, having been filled with all unrighteousness. See, this is unrighteousness. This is not correct. This is not showing restraint, as we just got finished speaking about in the Hebrew's definition. This is not showing restraint and self-control. He says they were filled with unrighteousness, fornication, which we just talked about, iniquity. Iniquity is lawlessness or sin, covetousness, They wanted and desired that which was not rightfully theirs. Malice, being full of envy, murder, quarrels, deceit, evil habits, becoming whisperers, slanderers, haters of Yah, insolent, proud, braggarts, inventors of evil things. They come up with the most evil things. Weak-minded, disobedience to parents, without discernment, covenant breakers, without natural affection, unforgiving, unmerciful, who knowing the righteous judgment of Yah, that those practicing such things he condemned to death. Not only do they do them, but they also, he said, not only them that do them, he said, but they also who associate with those who practice. He said, this is not just for those who do these things. He said those who practice. So, no, you can't have a friend that's homosexual. No, you can't have a friend that's a lesbian. No, you can't have a friend that is a fornicator. That's an idolater. This is not me. I'm not saying this. I'm reading you what the word says. He says those who do these, not only those who do these things, but those who associate with those who practice them are going to be condemned. If you come, I had a friend that was fornicating, and I was grieved over it, and I loved her, and I went to her in love and talked to her about it, and talked, and with scripture, of course, and she repented of it. She went to her fiance at that time and told him she was no longer doing this, and she repented of it. Now, she decided, I don't want to hear nothing you have to say. Then that's when it's time, Prina, you got to cut them off. I love you, but I also love you from afar. Yeah. Because this is what the word says. The sixth thing that can defile the marriage bed or the bed, incest. And that's basically sex with family members or relatives. This is strictly forbidden in the scriptures. Leviticus 18:6 reads, none of you shall draw near to any relative of his flesh to uncover their nakedness. I am Yah. And it continues listening if you go like to verses 7 through 18, because I'm not going to read all of those. But it continues listing every relative from aunt, uncle, mother-in-law, daughter-in-law, and so on. Leviticus 20:19 through 21 reads, and you shall not uncover the nakedness of your mother's sister, nor of your father's sister, because he has made naked his nearest kin. Okay? They shall bear their iniquity. Iniquity is sin, lawlessness. If a man lies with his aunt, now again, we know lies mean the same thing as bad, sexual intercourse. If a man lies with his aunt, he has uncovered the nakedness of his uncle. They shall bear their sin. Now, why is it that he has bear the nakedness of his uncle if he's sleeping with the aunt? Remember what a marriage is. When a man and a woman become married, they are one. So sleeping with his aunt in the eyes of the Most High is like sleeping with the uncle. If you uncover your aunt's nakedness, he said you have uncovered the nakedness of your uncle. He says they shall bear their sin. He says they shall die childless. And if a man takes his brother's wife, it is an unclean thing. He has uncovered his brother's nakedness. They shall be childless. Same thing here. The next thing that can defile the marriage bed or defile sexual intercourse, because the bed is actually physical, sexual, genital intercourse. Marriage is honorable to the Most High. And sexual intercourse within a marriage is honorable. And that is not defiled as long as you do not bring things that the Most High has deemed as polluted and perverted and profane into it. But he says those who are outside of a marriage covenant, who are engaging in sexual intercourse, the fornicators and the adulterers, they're going to be dealt with. And you could be a fornicator and adulterer and still be married if you're participating in specific acts that I'm speaking of right now. Because adultery and fornication is idolatry. So the next thing is prostitution. Because and I'm reading these things, you know, some people have some really, what's the term I want to use? Adventurous sex lives. And they bring in a lot of things, what they call pertinent, to spice it up. There are people who bring their animals, okay? There are parents who sleep with their children. You know, there are people who sleep with their children, and there are some who will bring a prostitute into the bedroom, into their marriage bed, and say, well, we marry as long as we agree on it. It's not no, you are defiling the marriage bed because it was between you and your wife, not you, that wife, and a whore. So prostitution, which is paying for sex, this is morally wrong and it's condemned all throughout Scripture. Leviticus 19:29, it says, you shall not pollute your daughter to cause her to be a prostitute, that the land may not go whoring and the land be full of wickedness. Deuteronomy 23:17, it says, there shall be no harlot among the daughters of Israel, nor shall there be a homosexual among the sons of Israel. So Yah has said there shall not be a homosexual, there shall be no harlots, nobody whoring. Prostitution is whoring. Okay, you are a harlot. Something else, orgies, X-rated videos, and I'm kind of putting these together because they involve someone else. When you have an orgy, you're not married to these people. You're bringing in a whole bunch of people and y'all all getting together for perverted sex. Having orgies is perverted. This is sexual activities that is not sanctioned by the Most High. Having sexual intercourse is only sanctioned for a husband and a wife. That's it. Yah said marriage is honorable. But he says all fornicators and adulterers are going to be dealt with. They're going to be judged. So what are you doing when you're having orgies with multiple people? I've known people that have been married, and they brought people in. They said they wanted to spice it up. So they go bring another couple into their marriage bed, and then all four of them or more are having sexual intercourse and swamping partners. And what do they call that, Prina? What do they call it? Swinging. Swinging, yeah. This is what I hear they do in Hollywood and stuff. Yeah, I hear they do a lot of this swinging, all these type of things. That is perverted and polluted and corrupt. X-rated video. When you bring a man or a woman on a video into your lovemaking with your husband or wife, you have, again, defiled the marriage bed. The main point I want to bring is, in this whole thing, if the sexual practice involves someone else and it's becoming public where everyone else can watch, now what you're doing now is you have become a stumbling block because you are causing others to sin. You are leading those people who do these videos and so that you can watch and those who strippers, when you going to strip clubs, husbands and wives, you ain't got no business up in those strip clubs. You commit adultery and fornication and it's idolatry. You are defiling the marriage bed when you engage in these things. Any sexual practice that involves someone else or it becomes public, not only are you an idolater and a fornicator and adulterer, now you causing other people to sin because now this is on videotape. People are buying it. They're going to the sex stores and they're buying it. Now you got 1 million plus people out here fornicating to your video that you have made. You have become a stumbling block and have led and basically leading people to the lake of fire. And this has to do with the spirit of lust. When you are engaging in trying to go get a prostitution, or you're watching pornography videos or engaging in pornography, orgies, X-rated videos, all these types of things, you are being driven by a spirit of lust. I want to read Matthew 5:27 and 28. And this is our Master Yeshua speaking. He says, you have heard that it was said by them of old time, thou shalt not commit adultery. He says, but I say unto you that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her have committed adultery with her already in his heart. So if you are married and you going and looking at pornography magazine, X-rated magazines, Playboy magazines, you're going to strip clubs, you're going to bachelor parties where they're going to have a stripper there. All of these things. He says, you are already in adultery. You have already committed adultery. Because what's in your heart is what you're going to do. It's already in your heart. What does he say in the world? The lust of the eyes, the lust of the flesh, and the pride of life? That's the lust of the eyes. A lot of people's eyes get them in trouble. They see it. Just like Adam and Eve. She saw the fruit from the tree of knowledge and good and evil, which the Most High told them not to eat. And what did she say? Well, she saw that it was pleasing. It was pleasing to her. And look what happened. Look what resulted and what were the consequences for her disobedience. Look what her eyes, what she thought looked good. Everything that looked good is not good. Maybe she might look good. Maybe she might have a big butt. Maybe she might have a Coca-Cola body, but maybe she got HIV. Maybe she got some STD. Then you go sleep with her. Next thing you know, you don't caught something, and maybe something that you can't get that may kill you. All because it looked good, because you were lusting. You're not even supposed to be going and lusting. Prina, I don't know how many people, relationships and marriages, especially on Facebook, how many marriages have ended because of Facebook, or relationships that have ended or because of Facebook, where the husband or the wife is having relationships. They go and see somebody's profile picture. She looks nice. Next thing you know, you communicating with them. You liking all their pictures. You're nothing. You married. Get off of this woman's page. You shouldn't even be going and lusting after on somebody else's page when you married. What did Yeshua say? Let me read this. Matthew 5:47-28. I'm going to read it again. You have heard that it was said of them of old, thou shalt not commit adultery. But I say unto you that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her hath committed adultery with her already in his heart. Mark 7:21-22. For from within, out of the heart of men, pass out the evil thoughts. So Yeshua is saying from out of the heart of men pass evil thoughts. What else did he say? Pass out of your heart. He says evil thoughts, adultery, fornications, murder, theft, greedy desires. Greedy desires is lust. You already married. The wife you got is beautiful. That's not enough. You want to go and look at somebody else. Greedy desires. You greedy. Having sex with your wife is not good enough. You want to bring a cat in the room. That's not good enough. You want to go bring another couple in the room to spice it up. Greedy, lustful desires. He says iniquity, deceit, lustful desires. Lustful desires is in Mark 7:21. Lustful desires, a wicked eye, blasphemy, pride, recklessness. Ephesians 4:19 speaks about lustful desires and how when you surrender yourself to these practices, meaning you do not have self-control, you do not restrain, you do not subdue, you do not hold back on the lustful desires that you have that's in your heart. But when you surrender to it, He says the more you surrender yourself to these practices, he says that you want more and more in Ephesians 4:19. You want more and more. You will never be satisfied once you start doing all these, because you're going to always be trying to top the last act. The chandeliers wasn't good enough. Let me go stand on top of the Empire State Building next. It is never ending. It's unending as far as how sick and perverted your sex life will be, because you are always trying to top the last act. It's never good enough. Leviticus 18 and 17 alludes to the fact of uncovering the nakedness of two people at once. It's kind of, when I read that, it was alluding to the fact that it's two people, because most of the scriptures when I was reading in Leviticus, it was saying you have uncovered the nakedness of your aunt, or you have uncovered the nakedness of your brother. But this particular verse said you are uncovering the nakedness of two people at once. So I want to briefly share my own experience. And I'm going to keep not going to give names to protect people. But this whole thing with this lust demon, I had a personal experience, not from me, but from someone else. And I spoke to this demon head on. It was a lust demon, and I recognized this demon. And I know firsthand that if you do not get a hold on the spirit of lust, how strong this demon can be, and that not only will you have that one, it will bring in multiple. And the person that I was encountering with at this time had a spirit that climbed up into him that was, I'll put it this way, unnatural. Okay? And it was very hard for me because I saw the transformation. This person was no longer the person that I once knew, but this was being driven by this demon. Okay? And I believe it was multiple. Because this person got caught up in watching pornography, watching X-rated videos, thought that it was okay to watch videos together. And, of course, I refused, and I didn't want to do any of this because I felt like it was perverted, and I wanted nothing to do with it. And I won't tell you exactly how perverted this demon got, but let me tell you, on any level that can degrade a woman, I'll just put it that way, that's how degraded I was by this person that had this demon in regards to the things that this person was asking me to do. I did not do it, but the whole point is I dealt with this demon. And prior to me coming into the truth, you know, I have never engaged in anal sex, but like a lot of us, Trina, I did engage in oral sex. And I remember driving home, Most High was saying, you know what, you're not going to be blessed until you stop doing that oral sex. That's all I heard his set-apart spirit say. And you know how you hear things, but you kind of like, oh, that's just me, you know. Yeah. But I continued to keep hearing it. And I went to this person and told this person that I was no longer going to do this because the Most High was speaking to me about this. It was like, this is not in the Bible. This spirit rose up. You hear me? I mean, rose up. Was ready to straight attack because I said I was no longer doing this. And you have to realize when you're doing certain things, the set-apart spirit of Yah is not going to drive you to do perverted and polluted and profane acts. And so I had to leave this relationship. I had to leave the relationship in order to save myself because this person did not want to repent. And the Most High says that you have to remove yourself from people like this. So I'm going to get right back into it. Something else that will defile the marriage bed is masturbation. Yes, masturbating is corrupted, is polluted, is profane. It is not of the Most High. And basically, when you're masturbating, that's stimulating your own genitals. And normally when you're doing that, you're stimulating yourself until you have an orgasm, and you're doing it manually. And when you're doing it exclusive of sexual intercourse with someone. Okay? Remember, the bed is physical intercourse, genital intercourse. You are not having intercourse if you're by yourself. You're manipulating your own body to achieve that which was supposed to be done with your husband or wife only. Normally, when you're masturbating, for a lot of men, they're watching porno. They got their Playboy or Penthouse magazines, or they can be sitting up in the strip club watching the stripper while she's giving them a lap dance, fondling themselves. But you have to engage in lustful sexual fantasies with people who may be married. A lot of those people are married, but they're doing whatever they feel they need to do to make ends meet, because that's all they know. But even if you're married, masturbating because your wife is working late and you can't wait is not acceptable. It's still wrong. And I'm gonna show you how the word says, how can two walk unless they agree? He said those who are serving Satan and those who are serving Yah, the flesh war is at war against the spirit. There's mutual hostility between the flesh and the spirit. So I'm going to read two quotes from Anton LaVey. This is coming from the Satanic Bible. Now, if you know anything that you're doing that's in agreement with Satanists, you must know that this is not of the Most High. Everything in the scripture is not going to say, thou shalt not masturbate. Does the scripture say, thou shalt not celebrate Christmas? Thou shalt not celebrate Easter? Thou shalt not celebrate Halloween? This is where wisdom comes in. This is where you know how to study and you line up precepts. If he says, learn not the way of the heathen, and thou shalt have no other gods before me, and if you participating in any act or anything that honors another God, anyone besides the Most High, then you know that's the reason why we don't celebrate holidays. For that very reason, because it breaks the first and the second commandment. It's idolatry, and it's adultery. It's spiritual adultery. The children of Israel were whoring. He said they were whoring because of what? Because they were running after other gods, all the other nations around them. They didn't want to serve the Most High. They always was curious about what the other guys doing. That's why I say, don't do what the other guys are doing and say, you doing it unto me. You shall not do so unto the Most High, your Father. But let me read this. Masturbation. This is in the Satanic Bible, Anton LaVey. It says, masturbation is considered a sexual taboo by many. It creates a guilt problem not easily dealt with. Much emphasis must be placed on this subject, as it constitutes an extremely important ingredient of many successful magical workings. So this is something that they do use for sexual magic, witchcraft. This is witchcraft. Masturbation, they say, is regarded as evil. I'm going to read it again. This is from the Satanic Bible. Masturbation is regarded as evil because it produces pleasure derived from intentionally fondling a forbidden area of the body by one's own hand. The guilt feelings accompany most sexual acts can be assuaged by the religiously acceptable contention that your sensual desires are necessary to produce offspring. Even though you cautiously watch the calendar for the same days. He says you cannot, however, make yourself, you cannot, however, rationalize engaging in this in masturbatory practices. So he said you can't rationalize why you're engaging in masturbating. Pornography comes from porneia, okay? Again, another lustful passion. Pornography is fornication, idolatry, and whoredom. Strong Concordance 4204 says porneia, and I'm going to say it again, is the selling off of a sexual purity. So it basically says you're selling off your sexual purity. You're selling off that which was pure. It says it's fornication. Strong Hebrews 8457, fornication, harlotry, idolatry, and whoredom. A lot of these terms I'm finding prenup, they're being used interchangeably. It's whoredom. It's idolatry. I want to play this clip, and then we're going to come right back. And this is going to give you a little bit of understanding on masturbation.
Anytime you're masturbating, it's a lust of the flesh, hands down. There's no question in my mind. In fact, I'm 100% certain it's a lust of the flesh, because you're doing it for a feeling. If you're doing it for a fleshy feeling, for relief, for anxiety relief, for birth control, the reason to do it for birth control is like saying, I can't contain myself, so I either have to have sex with my wife or do this. It's idiotic. It's idiotic. Did you ever think of just leaving it in God's hands? Crazy, crazy talk. But other than this, what's going on, guys, especially if you look at porn, number one, if you look at porn, you're getting spiritual ties to every porn star you watch. If you're watching porn with a man and a woman, you have soul ties to the man and the woman you just watched, and all the people that made the film, that were involved in making that film. And if you go into deliverance, you better break all soul ties to all the porn stars you've watched and all the porn companies that made the movies. So this could keep a demon in your body, and it's definitely bringing demons into your body, definitely. Because sexual ritual is exactly what it is, and it brings demons like no other. Sexual magic is some of the strongest magic in witchcraft. And what Satan's tricking everyone into doing is like a mini sex magic ritual. Because let me explain to you guys, when you are masturbating and you envision whatever you envision, hopefully it's semi-normal to normal sex, because some of you people are doing all sorts of crazy stuff, which is definitely satanic, and you can get some kind of ideas of what I'm thinking of, but you want to stay far away from that. But anyway, what you're doing is you're envisioning whatever your lust is, and when you envision that in your head, what's in your head creating that image is a demon. When you have a favorite porn star and you think of her in your head, there's a demon in the spirit realm assigned, a principality or a ruler assigned to that actress. Whether it's male or female, black, white, or everything in between, as long as it's evil and it's sin, and it's in mass media like porn, there's a ruler assigned to it, and that ruler has legions of demons under it. And every time somebody lusts or sins with that person, that principality rules, that person was dedicated through witchcraft to that principality, through not sorcery, through witchcraft. Sorcery is only when you're using drugs, guys. But anyway, when you envision this porn star, a demon enters your head and takes the form of that porn star. Now, say you masturbate to the same porn star because she's your favorite porn star. Every time you masturbate to that porn star, you give the demon that already came in more control over your life, more control over your hands, your arms, your mouth, your motor skills, and you empower it. You let it get a better hold on your.
Okay. So what the gentleman was saying in the audio clip was basically about the sexual magic was the same thing from the research that I found from the Satanic Bible, where they're saying this is basically, it's witchcraft. It's witchcraft. And the more you continue in it, as I was reading what the Apostle Shaul was saying, the more you continue feeding and giving and surrendering to these lustful desires, he says, you're going to continue to want more and more. Like I said earlier, you can never top the last act. You're always trying to top the last sex act that you did. You're no longer looking at your husband or your wife as your loving partner or your loving spouse. They're just there to fulfill the lust of your flesh. It's not love making anymore. You're just basically feeding the desire that the perverted desires that demon that's residing in that particular spouse. Another thing that can defile the marriage bed is sodomy. So some of you may say, well, I'm not a sodomite. You know, they think that this has to do with homosexuality. But sodomy is non-procreative sexual activity. According to Wikipedia, anal or oral sex, and I'm going to say it again, anal or oral sex between people or sexual activity between a person and a non-human, they have animal, bestiality. So it's basically anal and oral sex. Merriam-Webster dictionary says that sodomy is anal or oral copulation with a member of the same or opposite sex. And it also says copulation with an animal. So copulation, as I'm going to explain later on, is sexual intercourse. It's sexual intercourse. So anal or oral copulation with a member of the same or opposite sex. So it doesn't matter if you're homosexual or not. If you are participating in anal and I'll just use or either or, you're a sodomite. Dictionary.com says anal or oral copulation with a member of the opposite sex, or copulation with a member of the same sex, and it has bestiality. Bestiality is right there with anal and oral sex. It says you're a sodomite. Reader's Digest Illustrated Encyclopedia Dictionary says anal copulation of one male with another, anal or oral copulation with a member of the opposite sex, and then copulation with an animal. I just gave you 4 different sources, all saying the same thing. Anal and oral sex, as well as bestiality, is sodomy. So those committing and or participating in any of these acts are sodomites. You're sacrificing your own bodies, and you're committing fornication and spiritual adultery with the pagan god Baal Peor. For those of you who don't know, and I'm just giving the definitions. For those of you who don't want to know what oral sex is, it's defined as sexual activity with the genitals of one partner stimulated by the mouth of another. Anal sex is intercourse via the anus, okay, committed by a man or a woman, okay? So either the man is putting his penis in a woman's anus, okay, or if the woman is doing it to the male or the woman is doing it to another woman, if she's a lesbian, she's putting a strap on and she's inserting it into the woman. Same thing, it's still anal sex. Bestiality, again, is sexual intercourse with a human being and an animal, and it's also called zoophilia, okay? I shouldn't even have to go into that, because if you're having sex with an animal, the diseases that could be contracted is salmonella, rabies, I mean, just all kind of stuff. So if you're practicing anal and oral sex and bestiality, you are defiling. Listen to me. You are defiling the marriage bed. The mouth was not fit to swallow and to take in semen or vaginal fluids. Your vagina, your anus, those are places of waste. It's waste. A woman has vagina just discharged because the vagina naturally cleanses itself. Women, you don't need to douche. You know this if you have an OBGYN. It cleanses itself. You have vagina fluids discharge. You menstruate. You got blood coming out of you. The male, your semen. When a woman is taking the semen in and swallowing, well, that semen, its job is to go find an egg to fertilize it. Now you got it down in your stomach. It has no place to go. The mouth was not meant to take in bodily fluids. You can contract all kinds of diseases that way. Throat cancer. It wasn't meant to do that. The anus is for exit only. It's not entrance. That's a place of waste with feces, unclean. Would you eat from a vacuum cleaner? It's the same thing. And these are places of waste. If you're engaging in these activities, it is unclean. It is polluted. It is perverted sex. The fallen taught us this. We were not doing this. The children of Israel, we weren't doing these kind of perverted things. It was taboo. Prina, back in the day, you couldn't even tell nobody that you was even participating in anal and oral sex. It was unheard of, especially in the black family. You weren't telling nobody you was doing that. The children of Israel, we learned all kind of perverted things from the nations and around us. This is Baal Peor. And you guys are going to find out who Baal Peor is because the children of Israel were committing these acts in the scriptures. The book of Jude references the sexual immorality that was going on in Sodom. In Jude 1:5-7, it says, "But I intend to remind you, though you once knew these things, that Yah, having saved the people out of the land of Egypt." And who did he save out of the land of Egypt? The children of Israel. "In the second place, destroyed the ones not believing, and those cherubs not having kept their first place, but having deserted their dwelling place. He has kept in everlasting chains under darkness for the great judgment day. As Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities around them, in like manner to these, committing fornication, and going away after strange flesh, laid down an example before time, undergoing vengeance of everlasting fire." We know what was going on in Sodom and Gomorrah. The men there, they wanted to have sex with them. They thought they were, I believe they knew that they were angels. They were angels. They were angels. They blinded them. And how satanic and demonic and what kind of spirit is driving you when you are blind and you are still groping to get to the men that you want to sleep with? Lot said, "Hey, I got 2 daughters who are virgins who've never been touched." Lot was trying to show them the right way, the natural way, which is for a man to sleep with a woman. He said, "I got 2 women as virgins that are daughters I can give you." They told Lot, "You get out the way before we do something to you. We don't want them." They didn't want the women. They wanted the men. They were angels. And the angels blinded them. They were blind. And they were still groping at the door to get. What kind of spirit do you have to have climbing up in you, that have climbed in you, to be blind and still you can't even see? If I didn't see Prina, I'd be like, you know what? Okay, I'm blind. Okay, I need to get myself together. I need to get it together. Yeah, they blind. They like, oh no, we still got to get to them. What kind of spirit is driving you? A perverted spirit, an unclean spirit. So we're getting ready to listen to this on sodomy. I pray that you all are really listening, and we'll come right back.
This is totally laid out by God to be an abomination. Many times in the Old Testament, he's cut the sodomites off, and he said that they will not see the kingdom of God. And guys, if you're doing this and you get mad at the fact that this is sin, you have a sodomite spirit dwelling in your flesh. Now, I want to go over a couple issues that I wrote down here. A couple ways I look at this that, to me, prove beyond a reasonable doubt that this is sin. Most people will say the marriage bed is undefiled. I say it's undefiled until you defile it. Sex outside of marriage is defiled. Sex within marriage is undefiled. That's what that verse means. It doesn't mean that you can have oral and anal sex and bring a donkey into your bed. It means that with the sex you have, the fruit-bearing sex you have is not defiled. It doesn't mean the perverted sex you have and the satanic sex you have is not defiled. Now, one first issue that I've already mentioned is oral sex is sodomy in God's eyes and in definition. Go look up the definition of sodomy or a sodomite, and it will say any people that have anal, oral sex, or do bestiality, or any other fruitless, perverted sexual acts. 2. The point I want to make in 2 is the Song of Solomon in no way, at any point in the entire book, refers to oral sex. Before I made this video, I read it, I listened to it over and over again, and I don't see anything in this book that can literally be taken that's talking about oral sex, okay? Every church leader on, number 3, every church leader on earth is afraid to discuss this because of the need to keep the seats full in the church. We are a sodomite nation, and if anyone discussed this who runs a church, they would lose half the people in their church or more, and they don't want that. 4, delusional Christians believe today that oral sex is only sin if they think it is sin. Now, anyone who's a student of the Bible knows that that's complete garbage, and we don't determine sin. God determines sin. Oral sex, number 5, oral sex is fruitless to God's kingdom and was not how God intended us to show love to our spouse or anyone else. Number 6, the human mouth by creative design does not belong chomping on a person's sexual organs or licking a person's sexual organs or sucking on them. Okay? Oral sex was a complete abomination until about 50 years ago. It is on an incline along with the satanic falling away. So number 7 is the fact that as the satanic falling away increases, so does oral sex. I know when I was younger, you were nobody until you had oral sex when you were in high school. It was, have you done this? Everyone's a freshman in high school and it's the norm. There were girls that went around my high school that were known for giving oral sex, and everyone had to try it out. It's almost like an initiation. Now, I'm going to go into some things on this and how every year that goes by, a larger percentage of young people and adults are having anal and oral sex. Number 8, during oral sex, you actually drink the body fluids of your partner. Now, blood or body fluids do not belong in your mouth. Sodomites will not enter the kingdom of God, and that's just the bottom line. You are not going to defile your wife or your husband and treat them like a filthy homosexual prostitute, having sex like a homosexual prostitute, guzzling on their body fluids and feeding demons, and go to heaven. You're not going to go to heaven. It doesn't matter how righteous you think you are, you have pride. You can say, I have pride. You're wrong. You have pride. I've laid my sin down to the Lord. I don't do these things. I don't walk around thinking I can do them because I think it's cool. That's the definition of not having pride. But I am well aware that most men within the body, their defense to make this seem like it's okay is to be like, he's a holy roller, he thinks he knows everything. Because I had friends that told me that. I had friends that told me I'm dividing the body because I say it's not okay to have oral sex. Now, I don't know about you guys, but if the body divides and on one side is the blowjob side and on the other is the non-blowjob side, put me on the non-blowjob side all day long. I'm much more comfortable over there, okay? Now, let's talk about how God did not design our mouths and our body parts to be touching in that fashion, our sexual organs to our mouth. There's a little something in everyone's mouth that really isn't too pleasant to be on a man's penis or a woman's vagina. It's a little something called teeth. They look like this. They're pretty sharp. They hurt when you actually get them on your sexual organs. Anyone who's been a sinner will know. If you're a male, you will know that a woman's teeth will tear you up and hurt if you get oral sex. Now, what makes this go away? Well, what makes this go away is the woman learning a technique to get her teeth out of the way where she can have oral sex with you, and that's what makes it feel good. Now, you might be wondering why I'm talking about this. I'm talking about this because I want to ask you a question. What spirit do you think the woman is led by when she's learning technique to give a man a blowjob? Do you think the Holy Spirit is leading the woman to learn how to get her teeth out of the way and use her throat to give a man a blowjob? Do you? Or do you think that's lust and of Antichrist, that spirit that's leading this behavior? Because I motion you're a complete idiot if you think the Holy Spirit is leading this kind of behavior. It's not natural. You need to use technique to make this work. It's not the way God intended it. A woman's throat is only so deep. It wasn't meant to have a penis in it. Okay? Now, you'll say, well, you might be a woman and you might be saying, well, how about my husband doing it to me? You know, it feels good when he does it to me. Yeah, it does now because the devil has made Mach 3 razors and everyone's clean shaven now. But take a look at this. This was the average man's face a long time ago. There's a little something on it called stubble. Take a look. It's like a piece of wire brush going into them. Okay? And that is not the way God intended it. I need to be a professional to do that without any of this stubble hitting a girl's private parts. Okay? And I say this because I've repented of this, and everyone knows I've admitted to doing this before I was saved, and I'm trying to use my life experiences to prove a point. Okay? Not only that, but in my experience, it's impossible to do it without getting body fluids in my mouth. Now, I know that I've had demons in my body, and I guarantee you that they're drinking that fluid as I'm sinning against God when I'm doing it. This is why you need to repent of these acts. This is why this is an abomination. You need to get with your spouse, look at each other seriously, look at yourself in the mirror, and stop kidding yourself. And stop thinking that this is okay with God. Now, aside from this, another point I want to prove further is that this situation where people are having oral sex is out of control today, but 50 years ago this was looked at as an abomination. 100 years ago people wouldn't even talk about doing this in public. And before that, you probably would have been killed or something if you got caught doing this on people. They probably would have burned you at the stake.
Okay, so we're back. I think he pretty much thoroughly explained how this act is a very unclean in addition to what I've already said. So those of you, you know, if you're talking about homosexuality, if you think homosexuality is an abomination, if you think that's unclean, you know, and they're sodomite, if you're participating in anal and oral sex, whether you're doing it or having it being done to you, you're in the same category. You're no different. Anal and oral sex, and I'm not speaking as a judgmental, as if I haven't done it. I'm speaking of it because I did engage in oral sex a very long time ago before the Most High set apart spirit spoke to me about it and told me you're not going to be blessed until you stop doing that. You know, as my sister Prina said, you have to examine yourself. A lot of times the set apart spirit is speaking to you and you're not listening, because you're being driven by something else, lustful desires. Some things you need to know about anal sex, besides the fact that it's for an exit, not entrance. As the gentleman said, the mouth was not designed to take in semen. It's unclean. The mouth and, but your vaginal areas and the anus, those are places of waste where you excrete, okay, unclean things from within. But some of the things you need to know about anal sex, you know, you're at greater risk of contracting, like I said, a STD. The anus is full of bacteria, and it can cause anal cancer, and it also can weaken the anal muscle cavity. And I know this for a fact because a friend of mine, her mother is a nurse at the hospital, and she's told me some stories in regards to the homosexuals that have come into the hospital, and they could not hold their feces any longer because I'm trying to say this in a way because I don't want to be vile or anything, but they had been ran up in, I'll put it that way, in their anus so much, and their behind was so open that they could no longer hold their feces in. So the mother was telling her that they had to pack their behind because they could no longer hold it. Okay. Your muscles, like I said, it can weaken the anal muscle cavity. It's full of bacteria. So why would you want to lick and suck on somebody's behind that is full of bacteria? The anus area is not a very clean or a clean smelling area. Even if you wash it and clean it, it's still unclean. And just common sense, it just should not be natural. What do we see, Prina? What do dogs do? It's animalistic. That's why anal and oral sex, Prina, is on the list with bestiality. What do dogs do, Prina? When they see another dog, what they go do? Go sniff from their behind. Mm-hmm. They go sniff the behind. That's what they do.
They even look there too.
Yeah. And so for those of you who may still be saying, well, I'm not convinced, I don't believe that. Okay, you know what? You don't have to. I'm going to go over a couple of scriptures. The first scripture I'm going to go over that they use to justify unclean, perverted acts is masturbation. They try to use Leviticus 15 and 16 and also Deuteronomy 23 and 10 to say, oh, well, see, this means that you can masturbate. So if you have your scriptures, I want you to go to it quickly. Leviticus chapter 15, verse 16, and then I'm going to go to Deuteronomy 23 and 10. So Leviticus 15, verse 16 reads, and if any man's seed of copulation go out from him, then he shall wash all his flesh in water and be unclean until the evening. So I have heard with this one, and I'm going to read Deuteronomy 23. Yah also says semen from a man's own nocturnal emission makes him unclean, and that's not even a deliberate act. So some just say, okay, well, this might be a wet dream, whatever the case may be. Let's go over what copulation means, because if any man's seed of copulation go out from him, then he shall wash all his flesh in water and be unclean till the evening. So they're saying, well, if this seed just go out of him, then this means that he, if he's masturbating, then he could just go wash himself and be unclean. The Most High is not making up no law justifying masturbating when the satanic cult endorses this. Light and dark don't mix. The seed of a man, we all know, generates new physical life. So the Most High, again, is not going to make a law permitting masturbation. Copulation means sexual intercourse. Strong Hebrew 7902 says lying down for the sexual act carnally. Remember when I gave you the Strong Hebrew definition for bed, and it said carnal intercourse, fleshly. It says to lay. A lot of times they say, well, if you lay with a man or if you lay with a woman, it means sexual intercourse. It says in Strong Hebrew 7250, it says to lie out flat, to lie down. So this is having sexual intercourse. Leviticus 15 and 16 is not speaking of masturbation. This is meaning if he is engaged in sexual intercourse, then he shall wash his flesh in water and be unclean until the evening. This is not saying that if he masturbates. I actually heard a Hebrew Israelite group actually teaching this. This is not talking about masturbation. This is talking about sexual intercourse. Copulation, according to Strong Hebrew 7902 and 7250, is sex. Sexual intercourse. And as the gentleman was saying in the video, people try to use the Songs of Solomon to claim that, or it's making reference to oral sex. If anal and oral sex and bestiality are used as sodomy, why would the Most High, do you think this is that he's going to use the Songs, that Solomon is actually going to be using this to justify or interpret oral sex? This was basically a poem, and it's in relation to the Most High and the bride of Israel. Why would he contain lustful passions and then include it in here and say, okay, well, this is talking about oral and anal sex? This is not talking about oral sex. Sometimes, even if it doesn't say thou shalt not specifically, this is where wisdom comes in. If it's something that's perverted, you can't attach something that's perverted and then say that something in the word of the Most High is justifying a perverted act. That doesn't make any sense. Those of you who want to read the Songs of Solomon, like I'm going to read one. It says, awake, O north wind. This is Songs of Solomon 4 and 16. Awake, O north wind, and come thou south. Blow upon my garden, that the spices thereof may flow out. Let my beloved come into his garden and eat his pleasant fruit. So people say, oh, they talking about oral sex. This is referring to the Mashiach's love for his bride and Yah's love for the children of Israel. We cannot take his poem and interpret it to that of something carnal and perverted. Anal, oral sex, and bestiality are all used, meaning us interchangeably as sodomy. So if you still continue to engage in these acts, you are committing acts of sodomy, and we already know what the Most High Word says about sodomy. You are engaging in Baal Peor. Who is Baal Peor? Baal Peor, Baalpeor. Who is Baal Peor? This Baal was basically a male divinity of the Phoenicians or the Canaanites, and it was the equivalent to the goddess Ashtoreth. So this was a Canaanite god or Canaanite deity. Baal means Lord in Strong Hebrews 1168, and Peor means cliff, C-L-E-F-T, cliff, and it means to open wide. Baal Peor means Lord of the cliff or Lord of the opening. Okay? So if you don't know what a cliff is, it means to split, to divide, to partially divide into two. Okay? So let me go to a couple of the scriptures where the children of Israel were playing the whore, okay, with this pagan god. And let me go to Numbers 25, 1-5. And Israel abode in Chittim, and the people began to commit whoredom with the daughters of Moab. And they called the people unto the sacrifices of their God, and the people did eat and bowed down to their gods. And Israel joined themselves unto Baal Peor, and the anger of the Most High was kindled against Israel. And the Most High said unto Moses, take all the heads of the people and hang them up before the Most High against the sun, that the fierce anger of the Most High may be turned away from Israel. And Moses said unto the judges of Israel, slay you every one his men that was joined unto Baal Peor. Deuteronomy 4, 3 and 4. Your eyes have seen what the Most High did because of Baal Peor. For all the men that followed Baal Peor, the Most High have destroyed them from among you. Did you that did cleave unto the Most High are alive, every one of you this day? Joshua 22, 16 through 18. Thus says the congregation of the Most High, what trespass is this that you have committed against the Most High of Israel, to turn away this day from following the Most High, and that you have built you an altar, that you might rebel this day against the Most High? Is the iniquity, remember iniquity is lawlessness or sin, is the lawlessness or sin of Peor too little for us, from which we are not cleansed until this day, although there was a plague in the congregation of the Most High? But that you must turn away. You must turn away this day from following the Most High, and it will be seen that you rebel today against the Most High, that tomorrow he will be wroth or angry with the whole congregation of Israel. So the children of Israel, they were doing it even after they saw all that the Most High had did, and he commanded them not to go off following the other nations around them. They still went and joined themselves to Baal Peor. In Psalms 106, it says they forgot the Most High, their Savior, and all the things that he did. He said that they joined themselves to Baal Peor and ate the sacrifices of the dead. They said they provoked the Most High to anger with their inventions or their deeds or the things that they did. And he said a plague broke out among them because of that. A plague. We don't know what plague that was. Baal Peor, if you do the research on this, and I'm giving you a little bit of information in the scriptures, but Baal Peor, in order to sacrifice from this God, you had to basically eat from places. In order to please this God is eating from places of waste. Do the research yourself. Eating from places of waste. Hence, anal oral sex. You're eating from places of waste. This is the same thing that this God requires. If you're going to join yourself to this God, they had to basically desecrate themselves and degrade themselves before this deity and eat from places of waste. Baal Peor. In Hosea 9 and 10, it says, I found Israel like grapes in the wilderness. I saw your fathers as the first ripe in the fig tree at her first time, but they went to Baal Peor and separated themselves unto that shame, and their abominations were according as they loved. So he said they loved this. They loved it. He said their abominations were according as to what they love. People love to do this. Satan is really good with playing on your senses. You know, things that look good, feel good, taste good, sounds good. And that's how we get caught up. Oh, this sounds good, so let me listen to this song, Beyonce. Next thing you know, you ready to go fornicate because there's spirits attached to music. Oh, you know what, this Christmas tree look good. You know, everything about it look good. Oh, this pork chop look good. You eat this. Now you don't sin against the Most High because it looks good. Now you commit adultery and fornication. You know, because now you celebrating a holiday. Now you honoring another God. Now you commit adultery, fornication, and idolatry. Ooh, this feels good. You know, now you engaging in anal and oral sex because it feels good. like the gentleman said, you don't brought the donkey in. You want to bring an animal in your room because the marriage bed is not defiled. Like he said, the marriage bed is honorable between a husband and a wife, and it's undefiled. Like he said, as long as you don't defile it. It's not undefiled if you bring in animals, prostitution, videotapes of X-rated pornography, orgies, bringing in other people. If you're having sex with your wife while she's menstruating, if you're engaging in anal or oral sex, then now the marriage bed is defiled, even if you are married. So you can be married and still be fornicating. How about that, Prina? You can be married and still fornicate if you are committing anal or oral sex, because you are whoring. You are whore. Yeah. You're being a sodomite. When I was doing it, I was whoring. I didn't know that I was being a whore. When a lot of people are married and they're doing this every single day and they don't know that they're sinning against the Most High, that they're still sodomizing their husband or their wife. It's a homosexual act. Anal and oral sex is a homosexual act. I'm telling you, and listen to me, because when I share my testimony, I go to this demon head on because it was speaking through this person. It's a homosexual act. I saw this person go from one phase to the most perverted phase to it was almost unrecognizable. I didn't even know who this person was anymore because of the things they were asking me to do. This spirit, as Paul said, if you surrender yourself to the lustful and wicked desires, it only wants more and more. And I experienced this. Yah himself told me, you're not going to be blessed until you stop. And he said anal or I wasn't doing anal, but I was doing oral. He said, you're not going to be blessed until you stop doing it. I repented of it, and I stopped doing it. And I haven't done it since because I didn't know that it was wrong. There is no thou shalt not have anal sex. Thou shalt not have oral sex. But it is sodomy. It's sodomy. No sodomite is going to make it into the kingdom. If you're doing these acts, you're doing the same act as a homosexual. They love going up in a man's behind. It's the same thing. If you want your husband to go up in your behind, it's the same thing. And oral sex is included in that. Today's lesson is not for those who are froward, who are stiff-necked. After this lesson, if you haven't been convinced, I'm washing my hands with it. I'm not doing a part 2 on this. That's going to be between you and Yah. But guess what? I'm wiping my hands because the blood is not going to be on my head. I'm doing what he told me to do as being a watchman, to warn you, and then it's on you. There was no scripture when the Most High led me. He told me. Just like there's no scripture on a lot of things that we as Hebrew Israelites, his chosen people, have come out of, and it may not directly say the name of the holiday, but we know we're not supposed to follow the ways of the heathen. With the children of Israel, we weren't doing this before. We were taught this by the other heathenistic pagan nations around us. You're being driven by demons when you want to still engage in it. Just like the gentleman said, if you are upset at this message, you have a sodomite spirit in you. What is the judgment? Let me play this, because this gentleman here is going to hit it home, and then we're going to come back because we're wrapping it up, and we're going to take questions.
Somebody's right, somebody's wrong. Deuteronomy 13, verse 17, there shall be no whore of the daughters of Israel, nor a what? Sodomite of the sons of Israel. There shall be no whore and no sodomite. That's the same spirit. Do you know that a whore and a sodomite is the same spirit? A homosexual man and a whorish girl is the same spirit? Both prey on weak men. Both try to seduce men. A whore and a sodomite is the same spirit. That's why they befriend each other. Yeah. When you see a woman with a lot of homosexual buddies and friends, that's because that woman's a whore. They get along right well because they victimize the same folks, the same spirit. Because the whore is just programming the man to become a sodomite. That's why the whore performs oral sex on the guy, getting him used to an androgynous existence where the orifice of the mouth becomes a sexual instrument. She's a training ground for homosexuality. This is why a whore lets a man sodomize her, because it's preparing a man to see the anus as a sexual orifice. A whore is a training ground for sodomites. See, this is real. The devil's playing for keeps. All I'm waiting on is the power to come down from heaven, to be endowed with power from on high, to be a final witness to this world. That's going to be the last nail in these people's coffin as God ends this thing, this whole scenario. Leviticus 20:13. If a man also lie with mankind as he lies with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination, a detestable thing, a filthy thing, a degenerated thing, a dehumanizing thing. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them. They want to expunge that from the Bible. That's in your Bible. You can't expunge it. It's there, black and white. Romans chapter 1 is the New Testament version of it. You can't get around it. Old and New Testament. It's an abomination to lie with a man like you lie with a woman. Period. But the inroad into the heterosexual mind is oral sex.
That's right. Nobody wants to say that.
And nobody says a word. Strangely quiet in the streets because they're participants. Man, most church folks are sodomites, not saints. You go in church, take it for granted everybody's on the same page. They're going to look at you like you crazy. You bring up homosexuality, they stand with their fists clenched. Yeah, that's wrong. But these homosexuals, then you tell that same guy, are you performing oral sex on your wife? You know, you're damned too, just like a homosexual. You're a sodomite just like they are. Well, what do you mean? The marriage bed is not defiled. The Lord authorized, see, the marriage bed between husband and wife, that's my sanctuary. Nobody has the right to intrude upon my privacy and my bed. And who are you to judge me? You filthy sodomite. Somebody has to even bring up the desire to lap on somebody like a Great Dane dog at a stinking, filthy, excrement-secreting orifice, and you got to even bring it up. You got to even be told not to do it. You're insane. You've gone crazy. You're already walking in depravity because you defend the activity. That's what's so disgusting. You even have to try to even tell somebody not to do it. And the Bible says it's against your own nature. The natural use turned into that which is against your own nature.
Okay. So the judgment, because we're coming to the end now here. The judgment. What is the judgment that the Most High has against all those who are whores, fornicators, adulterers, idolaters? Let's read that. If you can go to 1 Corinthians 6, I'm going to read 9 through 20. 1 Corinthians 6, 9 through 20. Or do you not know that unjust ones will not inherit the kingdom of Yah? Do not be led astray. Neither fornicators, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor the corrupt, nor homosexuals, nor thieves, nor covetousness, nor drunkards, nor revelers, nor extortionists shall inherit the kingdom of Yah. And some of you were these things. So he says, some of you were fornicators, some of you were idolaters, some of you were adulterers, some of you were corrupt, some of you may have been homosexuals or drunkards. So he's saying, you were this in verse 11. He said, but you were washed. You were sanctified, meaning you were set apart. You were made clean and pure. He says, but you were justified in the name of our Master Yeshua, in the spirit of our Most High. All things are lawful to me, but not all things profit. All things are lawful to me, but I will not be ruled by any. Paul is talking about not allowing sin to have dominion over him. He's not saying that it's lawful for him to be a fornicator. It's lawful for him to be a sodomite or to be an adulterer or to be corrupt. He's talking about not allowing sin to have dominion over him. A lot of us think that things are lawful. A lot of us think a lot of things are lawful. They have no profit. You're not supposed to allow things that are corrupt to have dominion over you. Verse 13, food for the belly and the belly for foods, but Yah will destroy both this and these. He says, the body is not for fornication. I'm going to read that again, 1 Corinthians 6 and 13. He says the body is not for fornication, but for our master, and our master for the body. And as Yah has raised up our master, so he will raise us up through his own power. Verse 15, do you not know that your bodies are members of the Messiah? Then taking the members of the Messiah, shall I make them members of a harlot? A whore is a harlot, remember? A whore is a harlot. If you're a sodomite, you're a whore. You're a harlot. You're an idolater. You're a fornicator. You're an adulterer. If the Messiah and Yah set apart spirit is in you and he abides in you, how can you take the member of your, we're supposed to be many members of the body of the Messiah. How can you take your member and make them a member and join them to that of a harlot? He says, let it not be. Verse 16, or do you not know that he joined to a harlot is one body? You become one with these unclean spirits when you continue surrendering yourselves to these demonic spirits, because these are unclean, perverted, profane, corrupt spirits. They are not of the set apart Yah. His set apart spirit, as the gentleman said, is not driving you and teaching you how to what's the word I'm looking for? How to be your best at committing anal or oral sex. Yeah. Okay. I'm trying to do this PG. Okay. For he says the two shall be into one flesh. He says in verse 17, the one being joined to our master is one spirit. Verse 18, 1 Corinthians 6, 9, 18, he says, flee fornication. I'm going to say it again. Flee fornication. Every sin which a man may do is outside the body, but he doing fornication sins against his own body. So if you're fornicating, not just having sex outside of marriage, because that is fornication, but adultery is also fornication. If you're masturbating, you're fornicating. If you're engaging in anal oral sex, you're fornicating. You're whoring, and it's idolatry. He says, flee fornication. Every sin which a man may do is outside the body, but he doing fornication sins against his own. You sinning against your own body. It's unlike the other sins. You sinning against your own self. That's like you stealing from yourself. Not like somebody go and steal something printed from somebody else. When you fornicate, you stealing from yourself. He says, do you not know that your body is the sanctuary, the set-apart spirit in you, which you have from Yah? His set-apart spirit, we are the temple. Okay, not a church building. His spirit doesn't reside in buildings made by the hands of men. He tells you that. We are now his building. We are the temple where the set-apart spirit of the Most High lives in us. How can you have his spirit in you and then join it to that of a harlot? He says you were brought with a price. Let me go back to verse 19. He says, do you not know that your body is a sanctuary of the set-apart spirit in you, which you have from Yah, and you are not of yourselves? You were bought with a price. When the Messiah went to shed his blood, that was it. He paid the debt. I said this last week, we were without hope until he he came and shed his blood. He came to set us free from the law of sin and death, the judgment, the penalty of breaking the law. That's what he set us free from, not the law, because there are two laws that Paul was speaking of in Romans 7 and 8. He set us free from the law of sin and death, the penalties, the judgment. He paid that debt. He took it on himself for our past sins, not for us to keep sinning on purpose. He says, and insulting the spirit of grace. When he has set you free from something, you don't keep returning to it like a dog returning to his vomit. He didn't deserve to die, but he laid down his life so that we can be reconciled back and renew the covenant. And he says, you insult the spirit of grace, treating his blood as common when you continue to sin, habitually sinning. Some of you are going to listen to this message right now, and then you're going to go lay down and have anal oral sex tonight. But you know what? You might not belong to the Most High, because he says, my sheep know my voice, and a stranger they will not follow. If it's not made clear to you, if this is not clear, if you don't believe and you still think it's okay, please do not come inbox to me on Facebook. Please do not email the teaching ministry. Don't even ask no questions on the show today saying, I don't agree. This is not for you. This show, and I said it at the beginning, is for those who have ears to hear, eyes that can see, and a heart that is after the Most High. As I said, you might not get it, and you might not have this understanding because you might very well might not be his. This is what go back to the lesson, the 35th lesson on why Yeshua spoke in parable. Those that didn't understand was because he said they weren't his. It wasn't for them to get. So those of you who still want to do this, you're operating out of reprobate mind. You might not be his. It might not be for you to get it, because he said, I already knew from the beginning who was coming and who wasn't. He already knew you before you were born. He already knew who was coming. Some of you may not be coming, and that's why you're still going to continue in this. That's up to you. But I'm not going to sit here and go back and forth and argue with nobody about, well, I don't believe this. Don't believe it. But you'll believe it on the day of judgment, because when it be played back to you, I said my servant to you, you listen to the show, and you still continue in it afterwards. It's going to be too late to repent, because after death comes judgment. Ephesians 5:3-8. But let not fornication or uncleanness or greediness be named among you, as it is fitting for saints. He says, let not fornication and all uncleanness or greediness be named among you, as is fitting for saints. Also, what did he say? Also cursing, foolish talking, witty insults, which none of which are necessary, but rather the giving of thanks. For you should know this, that anyone guilty of fornication or unclean person or covetous one who is an idolater has no inheritance in the kingdom of the Messiah and Yah. He says, let no one deceive you with empty words. Don't let nobody tell you. Don't listen to that. Don't let nobody deceive you. Don't be like Satan was with Eve. Did Yah say that you should not eat of every tree in the garden? Don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe. Satan is very subtle. Very subtle. Let no one deceive you with empty words, for through these things the wrath of Yah comes on the sons of disobedience. He says, then do not become partakers with them, for you then were darkness, but now light in the Messiah, or in our Master. So he says, walk as children of the light. Colossians 3:5-6. Then put to death your members which are on the earth. What members did he say put to death? Fornication, uncleanness, passion, evil lust, covetousness. For he says these are idolatry. I'm going to say it again, Colossians 3:5-6. He says put to death. That means to subdue, to restrain, to hold back, to bind, which means to disallow. Fornication, uncleanness, passion, evil lust, covetousness. He says, for these are idolatry, on account of which things, he says the wrath of Yah is coming on the deeds of disobedience. The deeds of disobedience are the practices of those who refuse to obey. There's nothing clean about licking somebody's behind. The butt by nature is unclean. It's got feces coming out of it. A woman's vagina, even though it cleanses itself, you have menstruation coming out, discharge. It's not meant for you to be there. I don't care how much Massagil or FDS you spray on it. It's not meant for you to be there. Galatians 5:19 through 25, he says, what are the works of the flesh versus the works of the Spirit? The works of the flesh are clearly revealed. Adultery, impurity, uncleanness, lustfulness, idolatry, witchcraft, enmity, fighting, jealousy, anger, rivalry, stubbornness. This is another part of it, being stubborn. He said rebellion is as witchcraft. Rebellion is as of the spirit of witchcraft. So those of you who want to be rebellious, you want to still continue this, you have a witchcraft spirit operating in you. It causes division, heresies, envying, murders, drunkenness, revelry. These are the works of the flesh. He said, which I told you beforehand. He said, I told you this before. What did he tell them in Galatians 5, verse 21? That the ones practicing such things will not inherit the kingdom of Yah. What is the fruit of the Spirit in verse 22? Galatians 5:22. The fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faith, meekness, control. Control. You able to restrain, hold back, disallow. You can control yourself. He says, against such things, there's no instruction. There's no need to instruct those who are self-controlled. I can control myself. I used to love shrimp. I used to eat pork chop. I used to eat catfish every Friday. Once I found out it was an abomination, I had to stop doing it. You got to have control. You go over and somebody brings something to you, look, Grandma made the catfish. You used to love it. You got to control yourself. Grandma, I'm sorry. You take it to the scriptures because this doesn't have scales and fin. I can't eat that. It's unclean. I'm sorry. It's not about how good Grandma made it with the special cornmeal that you like. It's an abomination. He says, you shall not eat this. It shall be unclean to you. So whatever y'all say is unclean, it doesn't matter what we in our pea brains think is clean. If he says it's unclean, then it's unclean. Don't go try to use Paul and say, Peter saw the vision and now I can give and receive with thanksgiving. You can only receive and give thanksgiving with those things that he said is clean. A pig is not to be received with thanksgiving. A pig is still filthy and unclean. This is the last clip, and then Prina, we're coming in. Anyone have any questions, you can go ahead and press, let me put this here. Star 6 on your phone, and you can give a comment or a question.
Now, you come in the front door, you're married, press oral sex. I stand right here and tell you that's going to damn you. That's sodomy. Well, I don't think the marriage bed is undefiled. Die in it then. I told you. You know why you can't dispute this? Because even nature teaches you is nasty. You nasty by nature. You just nasty. You're doing something unclean and filthy and nasty. Who would in their right mind would try to justify eating feces out of the toilet? That's how crazy that is. Now that's insanity. I'm trying to find a way to eat urine, menstrual blood, semen, and feces, and all kinds of nasty microorganisms, and I'm trying to justify it before God, saying God signs off on it, and God says the marriage bed is not defiled. The Bible says the marriage bed is held in honor and high esteem, that the marriage bed is not defiled. You can't go in there as a sewer rat thinking your marriage bed is not defiled. But when you've been told, now you got knowledge. Now, you first do these activities, and your mind will automatically, with your conscience, stand up against it. But you repeatedly do it until your conscience is seared, and then the devil moves you over to having an appetite for it. So now I'm a woman, I can't even have an orgasm outside of oral sex, because now my body has been reprogrammed by me to only respond to oral sex. Now I'm bound by the demon of oral sex. Now I need deliverance and help outside of myself. You see, that's the progression of the devil into the tabernacle. What you once drew back from now becomes appealing until now you have an appetite for it. Now you have an insatiable appetite for it. Now you're driven by it. And you can find yourself a lesbian that'll do it all day to you. And now you're a freaked out bisexual. Now you don't even like men because oral sex is all you like and you want another woman. The devil can drive you into madness through your own participation in sin. God set up people before you to say, turn back. The crossroads with that lantern waving, danger ahead. The road has been washed out. 9,000 foot drop ahead, turn back. And you just plow past the guy. I don't believe that, but then just blow the car. That's crazy. All God's going to tell you, I warned you. I told you. I gave you my reproof. And the Bible says the word really, when you turn away from the Bible, uses the term in the original language of snatching your shoulder away from somebody. I grab you by the shoulder to stop you snatching your shoulder away from me, so I'm going to do what I want to do. Hey, no way to help you. I told you.
All right, Prina?
Yes.
Okay, you can come on in. I'm curious for anyone who is actually still with us, if anyone is still listening, I'm curious to have thoughts on today's show and what you actually think, or if you could just press star 6 on your phone now, and we have someone here. But before I bring this caller in, and I'm going to read our ending scripture. It's coming from Ephesians 4:17 through 24. Therefore I say this and testify in the Master, that you no longer walk even as also the rest of the nations walk, in the vanity of their mind, having been darkened by their intellect, being alienated from the life of Yah, because they have no knowledge, which is because of the hardness of their heart, who having cast off all feeling, surrendered themselves up to lust and to the practice of all uncleanness with the desire for more and more. But that is not what you have been taught in the Messiah. I'm going to say it again. Having been darkened by their intellect, basically by what they think, being alienated from the life of Yah because they have no knowledge. They don't know who he is. They don't know what he expects. To know him is to keep his commandments. He said, because of the hardness of their heart, who having cast off all feeling, their conscience is feared now, as the gentleman said. They surrendered themselves up to lust and to the practice of all uncleanness with the desire for more and more. But that is not what you have been taught in the Messiah. Ephesians 4:21. If indeed you have heard him and were taught in him as the truth is in Yeshua, verse 22, he says, lay aside all your former practices. I'm going to say it again. Lay aside all your former practices and put off the old man, having been degenerated with deceitful lust, and be renewed in the spirit of your mind. You got to be renewed in the spirit of your mind. You got to repent. He says, put aside the former practices. If you were doing this, put it aside. You got to stop doing it. Because if you don't, he said, if you keep surrendering yourself to this lust and every practice of uncleanness, he said, your desire is only going to grow. You're going to want more and more. But you're supposed to put on the new man, he says, who is created by Yah in righteousness and true set-apartness. In Matthew 5:29-30, he says, if your right eye makes you stumble, tear it out and throw it from you. Pluck it out, some of your Bibles may say. He says, for it is better for you to lose one of your body parts than for the whole body to be thrown in hell. If your right hand makes you stumble, he says, cut it off and throw it from you. For it is better for you to lose one part of your body than for the whole body to go into hell. Prina, do you have any comments? Because I'm going to bring our caller in.
This was a well thorough lesson, and I just wanted to share my testimony as well. You know, when I was coming in truth, Yah was dealing with me with fornication. Even though I was married with my husband, you know, at the time, and we're divorced now, but pornography and those things were a part, and I couldn't explain it to him. You know, when I came in the truth and I told him that we weren't, you know, having oral sex or looking at pornography anymore, I couldn't explain to him why we couldn't do it, because I didn't have the growth that I have now, or the knowledge of his word. But I remember in my spirit when he was dealing with me was, whatever the world esteems, stay clear from it. That's all I heard, you know. Yeah. And it wasn't until I just started, you know, like we researched and we learned about Be All Pure, and, you know, those things don't dress up your marriage. It don't spice it up. All it does is cause more perverted up and cause more lust. And yes, you know, so sex toys and dance poles.
And that's a part of Bel Peor, the strip pole.
Yes, it don't belong.
I forgot to make mention of that. The strip poles that you see in the strippers, don't bring no strip pole in your bedroom in your marriage. A strip pole, that is the main thing that Bel Peor did, representing the penis. Do not do not bring a stripper pole in there and slide down the pole. That's another thing. Do not do that. Yes. That's part of the practice of Bel Peor. The children of Israel were doing that.
Yes, so I really love this lesson, and again, I hope that those people that are seeking the Most High Yah will stop, you know, doing it, you know, because the lake is your final destination if you don't, you know, and so this was a well put together lesson, sis, and I, you know, thank you for making all the points, and so they can't say, well, what about this? Well, what about that? You know, so well,
like I said, that's between them and Yah. Okay, let's bring our caller in from area code 734. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Sister Shatan and Prina, this is Sheila.
Shabbat shalom, Sheila.
Hi. Excellent message, and you know, everyone is being very open and transparent, and I just want to say this was a very, very, very excellent message. I am currently celibate and do not have anyone in my life, so I feel that this is really apropos for when I get married again. Because, you know, obviously I know perverted versus not perverted. But I have to tell you, I can't say that I have dealt in depth to this depth when it just pertains to just oral sex. You know what I'm saying? Because I get the multiple partners and all of that I'm screaming, you know, this isn't right. But we can justify something that we think is a little thing. That is actually usurping the possibility of eternal life. And this is where, I think, Prina, you may have just said it, but we just underestimate Satan, because he's going to get us in every way he can. And between the flesh, just like in Matthew somewhere it says that the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. And if we are not aware and learned of these things, it would be easy enough to even justify it. And that's even more dangerous, you know. So I am just really very grateful to have this, not only as, you know, truth. But it just opens up the fact that we always have to be checking ourselves. Always by the word of Yah. And we have to be breaking it down just like you did, Shaitan. You better have that Strong's out. You better have whatever needed to break down every possible adjective that it connects to, you know?
Yeah.
And I didn't even know this Bible or this book even existed, because I don't ever read anything that's like satanic teaching, even though I have to say, I say all the time that we underestimate Satan. I almost want to go and get this book just to read how probably so many of us, even those that are awake, we don't realize we have one foot in and one foot out. And we need to have both feet completely out of that realm. Yeah. Completely. To be
anything that we know. Anything that we know that the satanics are doing, we should know that we should be staying clear away from
Absolutely.
it. You know,
Absolutely.
I mean, when you really think about it, those places, the function that the vagina and your genitals and your anus serves, those are for places of waste to excrete. So when you really think about it, would you eat from places of waste? Would you eat from a vacuum cleaner? Would you eat from a garbage can? That's what it really is.
Right. Yeah. I think we forget.
Can I serve you some bowel movement on a plate?
Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
Basically, that's what it is.
There was something on YouTube that they took off, I remember. It has to have been about a year or so ago, where someone had pooped in a cup and handed it to this chick, and it was two girls. She handed it to her, and she ate some, and then she handed it back to the other person. This was actually on YouTube.
Oh, wow.
But they took it off pretty quick. But it was just
you know, they're doing some of everything right now that's perverted. That's why I had to go through the list of all the perversion, because there are people bringing a donkey in the bedroom. There's people who are having sexual orgies. There are people who, you know, they think because, well, if my wife and I, we can watch pornography videos together, and it's not wrong because I'm married to her. No, you are defiling your marriage bed. You are bringing a lustful demon spirit into your marriage. And then when it climb up into one of you, then they're going to desire to do all these perverted acts. They're no longer looking at you, like I said, as their loving spouse. They want to, you know, do the next monkey act for the circus. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's just not, I tell you, just not really taking it seriously, the responsibility. The responsibility is just such that you can't just think for a minute just because you're speaking of not anything really like, say, okay, I'm not going to go and murder this person for their car. Well, I'm not going to participate in oral sex in the bed. You wouldn't even consider the two as having anything to do with the other, but it's the foundation of the act. And it's all the same, not pure, you know, it's, anyway, very informative. There you go, pretty much. There you go. But thank you, both of you, so much, again, for this great message. I took lots of notes, and I'm going to keep studying it, and I would definitely recommend my best friend to listen to this. She's not anywhere near being awake yet, but I just pray for her a lot, and one of the reasons why I was her best friend, I'm going to get off this phone, is because we were two minds that were alike at one time. I mean, we were. I'm just going to put it out there.
Yeah.
But I woke up, and I'm not that person anymore, and this is one area that is a struggle for her, and I would love for her to read this message. I mean, to
everyone.
This message.
Everyone needs to share this. This audio video will be available this evening. It'll be available later on this evening, so if some of you may be listening, maybe my Facebook friends and then a couple of the Hebrew groups that I'm involved in, but also via the YouTube on the Daughter of Yah channel, you can, all of the Sword of the Spirit lessons are on there via the Daughter of Yah channel, and you can, this is our 37th show, you can check for that later on this evening, and so you can share this. This is a great wedding gift to give to your boyfriend if you're in a relationship with your girlfriend, or if you're engaged. You need to have this talk because, like you said, most people most people, there are a lot of people that say, you know what, I don't engage in anal sex, or I don't believe in bringing, having orgies, some of the outlandish animals. But that oral sex, that's probably the hardest thing, because most people don't look at that as an unclean, perverted, but it's sodomy. Right. It is sodomy, and if you want to be in the lake, then continue doing it.
Right.
Yeah. Keep doing it, and it's going to be you're going to be in the lake. You're going to be without excuse. No sex act feel good enough for me to be in the lake. None of it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
None of it.
Well, I used to. Right.
It's like, let's weigh this.
Oral sex as I used to look at oral sex as nasty, but then when it became normal, everything is normalized. Through the media, through now they trying to teach our kids about oral sex and stuff.
Right.
So they have.
They're teaching them in Fairfax, Virginia, how to be sodomite.
Yes.
They already started in August teaching them how to be sodomite. There's a teacher who's a lesbian teacher sitting up with a strap on, showing the middle schoolers how to use a strap and insert it into a penis.
Yeah.
This is where we live. We got a all-out war going on, and we got to get together. So we're going to go ahead and have Prina leave us out with a prayer. Oh, hold on. We have one more person. Let this person in quickly.
Okay.
Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Hello. Prina, are you on?
Yes, I'm on.
Okay. Area code 954-254. Is your phone on mute?
Now it's not. I would just like to say Shabbat shalom to you two ladies.
Shabbat shalom.
Really,
Shabbat shalom.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can now. Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to say to you ladies that you are a real blessing to my life. I've just been listening to your teachings for about a year and a half now, and I have come through many things in my life. First, I want to start off just by giving you a little bit of my background. When I was 4 years old, I was molested by my uncle. And just the thing that you're talking about today, he did to me, which led me down the road of lesbianism. But I thank the Most High that I prayed and I fasted, and I mean it was a real struggle. But to this day, I can say that I'm no longer a lesbian, and I am.
Praise God.
Praise God.
I'm celibate, and I have no desire to be with anyone, because all I see in this world is nothing but a bunch of confusion and a bunch of just lawlessness, and it really breaks my heart, and I see it a lot in my family also. And I try to reach my family, but it's like they think I'm crazy. They think I'm in a new religion, and I'm like, no, y'all don't understand. This is who we are. I'm just so happy that I prayed and fasted and cried out to the Most High, because I wanted to know who He was, because I know being in these churches, it just didn't feel right. A lot of things were going on in the church, and I just totally stopped going. I used to be really heavy in the church. Every time the doors would open, I would be there. And I just wanted to say, like you've said so many times in your teaching, that it's a lonely road, and it is. But with you ladies, it's just been a blessing. And sometimes I feel down, but even if I don't get to hear your program live, I always go back, and I really look forward to just, recapping on some of the things that you teach about. And I just want to say, just keep up the good work, and I really love you two ladies. I know.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I think I emailed Prina, and I had talked to her about my dad passing away or whatever, and I just have been going through a lot.
Okay.
Yes, but I just want to thank y'all so much, and I really, really look forward to meeting you one day in person.
Well, hopefully you can come to our conference next year in August. This August.
Yes, hopefully.
And we'll let everybody know in advance.
Yeah, I wanted to come to the last one that you guys had, but I didn't get the address, and then I didn't I was talking to people about going with me, but then people had backed out, and I was afraid to come by myself.
Oh, of course,
so,
yeah.
But I'm not even going to let that stop me. If I have to come by myself, I'll just have to come by myself.
Yeah, we would love to see you. I mean, you know, we get inboxes and emails, and from a lot of people have said they've been blessed by the audio broadcast, and that's the only thing we want. Like I said, we seek to, you know, highly esteem the Most High, not ourselves. We're not trying to draw anyone to us. We're not a church. We just are servants of the Most High that have been commissioned to teach His truth and to restore it back, and that's the only thing we're doing. So we thank you for, you know, sharing your testimony and definitely encouraging us on today. And
it goes deeper than that, but we don't have the time. But again, I just want to say I really love you ladies. I haven't met you personally, but my heart is with you ladies. And I even was thinking so much about moving like close to you ladies because, you know, my walk is serious. And I know we're living in the last days, and by no means do I want anyone to, you know, cause me to fall short or even go back. But I'm going to tell you, I know it says it's a place in the Bible where it says that we shouldn't boast, something about shouldn't boast or you'll be subject to fall or something like that. But I'm going to tell you, I so much that the enemy tried to kill me, but he didn't, and he should have when he had a chance. Because let me tell you something, and I can say this because I seek the Most High every day of my life. Some people, they think it's crazy, but, oh, yes, we have to. We have to. In the world we live in today, we better seek Him because if we don't, we could be lost just like these other people. And I just, my heart is so grieved for this society that we live in today. You know, but like I said, I look forward to meeting you ladies, and you are truly a blessing. So don't ever think you may not see people in the queue, but people are listening. And every time I listen to your teachings, I always put it out on my Facebook. I send it to people individually. I do what I can do, and I said I was also going to try to. I said I was going to also try to do a YouTube channel, you know, just to give people hope, even in the realm of the homosexuality and stuff like that. I was going to put something out to let them know that it's a lie. It's a lie from the devil, and all he wants to do is still kill and destroy. That's his job. So
yes, it is.
I'm not going to keep you any longer, but I just wanted to let you ladies know, you know, to keep up the good work. I love you, and I'm encouraged by you every single day.
Thank you, sis.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
That. Enjoy the rest of your Sabbath.
All right, you.
Okay, Shabbat Shalom.
Okay, Prina, you want to end us with prayer?
Yes. So I'm going to end in prayer with First Chronicles 29, 10 through 8, verses 10 through 18. 10 through 13 and verse 18, sorry. And David blessed Yah before the eyes of all the congregation. And David said, Blessed are you, O Yah, the power of Israel, our Father forever and ever. To you, O Yah, be the greatness and the power and the high esteem and the victory and the majesty. For all in the heavens and the earth belongs to you. O Yah, yours is the kingdom, and you lift up yourself to all as head. And the riches and the honors come from before you, and you rule over all, and in your hand is power and might, and it is in your hand to make great and to give strength to all. And now our power, we are giving thanks to you and giving praise to your high esteemed name. O Yah, the power of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, our fathers. Keep this forever for the intent of the thoughts of the heart of your people, and prepare their heart toward you. In Yeshua's name, so be it.
In Yeshua's name, so be it. So we thank you again for joining us, and we will see you all back next Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Now you got to go through whatever you got to go through because you were told. It's penalties that come with rebellion. It's penalties that come with rebellion.